FSR Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah!
Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Hey, they said I gotta come off the bench.
Now, here's Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Well, it's not Jacob Hester or T-Bob Hebert. Taylor Sharp sitting in the host chair. Matthew Musso on audio, Cassie on video. And here's something fun to keep track of today. Since everyone is off, I am in the host chair, Musso audio producing. For AFR, Musso in the host chair, I am audio producing. So we're flip-flopping a little bit here today. And, we're both in for a long one. Cassie here as well. How's everybody doing this morning?
That's what I was about to say. Cassie's going to be in the video chair for both of those shows.
Oh, your video for AFR?
Oh, yeah. All three shows.
Okay, well, look at us.
Yeah.
We're all pulling doubles.
We're holding down the entire station today.
Literally holding down the entire station. I get here this morning. Power went out over the weekend because, power goes out here whenever there's a moderate breeze. So
Fair.
I'm assuming the storm Saturday night took the power out. Every computer had to be reset. Guys, we're starting the show off wonderfully, but look, we're going to have a good time. All of us are going to be running on fumes on AFR, so be sure to tune in there.
We're bringing the energy.
Yeah, because I'm sure that show is going to be way more interesting than this one. Want to kind of lay out what we're going to do today. We're obviously going to talk Saints Raiders. Harold Perkins announced his decision on his future. He did that on Friday, about right at the time AFR was about to start. I want to talk NFL head coaching changes, possible openings, where the Saints rank on that. At 8 o'clock, we're going to talk LSU versus Baylor. We're going to give a final look at the Texas Bowl because, as you know, that game is occurring tomorrow. We're going to have Zach Nagy. He's going to hop on, talk the latest with LSU portal news. Me and Musso, we're going to kind of pick the college football playoff round 2 games. This is our final look at CFP round 2. LSU basketball, men's and women's, both got big wins yesterday. Weekend winners at 9 a.m. Devin Snow's going to hop on and tell us why the Saints and Pelicans stink so bad. Then we're going to close this thing out as we do every day with Ask the Bench. As I mentioned, I do want to start here with Saints and Raiders. So why don't we go ahead and get this thing started?
It's time to get to work, courtesy of Tiger Labor and Staffing, where they can help take care of screening, training, payroll, and more. Now, for starters.
All right, so Saints and Raiders played yesterday, and, you looked at this, and, to be quite frank, it was a battle of NFL bottom feeders this year. The Saints came into the game 5-10. The Raiders came into the game just 3-12. Game obviously in New Orleans, and it is a game that everyone thought, hey, if the Saints are going to win one the rest of this season, the Raiders game is going to be it because you got a Bucs team coming up that are playing as good as anybody in the NFL. You have the Raiders coming in. They've went from Gardner Minshew to Aiden O'Connell to Desmond Ridder, now back to Aiden O'Connell. And really outside of Brock Bowers, they haven't had a ton of weapons to work with all season. Well, your final score yesterday, the Las Vegas Raiders 25, the New Orleans Saints 10, which first off, the Raiders have now won back-to-back games. They really don't want that number 1 overall pick. The Giants apparently don't either. We'll get into that a little bit later on, but it's a game that you really thought the Saints had a shot at getting. But what ultimately happened? Well, it's the same problems that have haunted this team all year long came back to bite you in this game. You couldn't stop the run. And when I mean you couldn't stop the run, I mean Amir Abdullah, the Raiders running back, he played in his 141st NFL game yesterday, had never had a 100-yard game. Well, he had never played the Saints defense because he finally got to the century mark for the first time in his NFL career. To show you again how bad that run defense was, the Raiders had not had a 100-yard rusher all season. Again, thanks to the Saints, they accomplished that feat as well. It really wasn't Brock Bowers. I mean, Brock had a solid game because he's too good of an athlete to completely shut down. He had 7 for 77 yards. Like, you did about as good as you could on Brock Bowers. You just couldn't stop the run. To show you just how bad it was, the Raiders ran for 156 yards. The Saints ran for 81. And the Saints are the ones that got out to the early lead. You saw the trick play. It was the pitch to Kendre, the pass back to Spencer Rattler. He throws it all the way down the field to Foster Moreau, which, if there's a bright spot in this game, it probably is Foster Moreau. He had a heck of a game. He's had a few of those here down the stretch. But you were also horrendous on third down defense. Now, you look at it and you can say, okay, well, the Raiders were 10 of 18 on third down, a little over 50%. They're one of the worst teams in the league coming into this game on third down efficiency. And it was 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 12s, and you could not get off the field. On the flip side of things, the Saints 1 for 10 on third down conversions. So you couldn't run the ball. You couldn't stop the run. You were awful on third down, and you could not convert on third down. That is a recipe for disaster. And when you watch the game, you could just feel it. There was no juice in this team. I mentioned they got out to the 7-0 lead, but what ultimately happened, the Raiders go in a little bit of a run. They make it 13-7. I know that if you were sitting at home like me, you saw 13-7 and you said, well, that's the ball game. The Saints have no shot at coming back in this game. And that's ultimately what happened. Now, the Saints left a lot out there. They had some drop passes. They had a lot of penalties. But blocking remains a huge issue for you. Spencer Rattler was under duress all day long, and we'll get to him in just a second. And it wasn't just your pass blocking. You couldn't run block. You couldn't pass block. And this is against a Raiders defense that, I mean, it's kind of middle of the road. They're kind of a pedestrian defense, and you looked completely lost. Now, sure, you had Oli Udoh in there for Lucas Patrick, but does Lucas Patrick, of all people, make a huge difference in this game? I don't think he does. Then we get to the drop passes. Spencer Rattler honestly played about as well as he could have under these circumstances. Even when he did get out of the pocket, even when he escaped pressure, you got to do a better job of catching the ball. Now, you have no names out there receiver. I mean, me and Musso were basically the fourth receivers for this team. No Chris Olave, no Rashid Shaheed. We know all that. Cedric Wilson's been a huge disappointment this year. You don't have anybody to throw the ball to. And that's why I think Spencer Rattler was probably as good as he could have been under these circumstances. I looked at his stats in the first half, and I was a little bit blown away. He went 10 of 12 for 146 yards, a touchdown, no turnovers. Now, that last pass of the first half was an intentional throwaway. He was rolling out, trying to find something, threw it out of the back of the end zone to give Groupie a chance to come in there and kick the field goal to make it 13-10 at halftime, which he ultimately did. So you have one incompletion, one throwaway. You're 10 of 12 for 146 yards and a touchdown, and it's a 3-point game at halftime. And you're thinking, okay, you started out hot with 7-0, getting the long touchdown on one of your earlier drives. The Raiders, they knock out 13 points in a row, but you come right back, you cut into that deficit before halftime, and you're at home, you have the home crowd behind you. It was a complete 180 in the second half. Rattler really struggled, but again, the Raiders defense stiffened up, right? They got after him a lot more in that second half. The Raiders sacked Spencer Rattler 4 times in that game. You sacked Aiden O'Connell 1 time in that game. You made Aiden O'Connell look like a competent NFL starting quarterback, which he most certainly is not. Aiden O'Connell in this game, 20 of 35, 242 yards and 2 touchdowns. And even when you got pressure on him, he was able to escape it. You didn't tackle well. I mean, there's not a whole lot of positives to come out of this game. If you do have some positives, here they are. Again, I thought Spencer Rattler did about as good as he could under these particular circumstances because he was under duress all game. His receivers did not bail him out. And, there's been a lot of discussion on Spencer Rattler. Can he be the quarterback of the future? Can he not be? At times, we've seen him make great plays. At times, we've seen some stinkers. But just think about what he has to work with. Right now, your starting running back, even though I question whether he should be, is Kendre Miller. You spent a 3rd-round draft pick on Kendre Miller. He is the highest draft pick of any of your skill positions in terms of players you drafted. You didn't draft Morrow. Tipton wasn't drafted. Cedric Wilson, you didn't draft. Spencer Rattler himself was lower than a 3rd-round pick. Your best skill position guy in terms of draft capital you invested in is Kendre Miller as a 3rd-round pick. What rookie quarterback is going to thrive under that system when there's absolutely no weapons to throw to? You got your 3rd-string running back in there, and you have a makeshift offensive line in front of you that's frankly not that good even when they're fully healthy. I don't put a lot of the blame on Spencer Rattler. Did he make some boneheaded throws? Sure, he did. He's a rookie that was drafted late in the draft that has had to play a lot more than you thought he would with no weapons around him. Did he make some nice throws? He did. He made some flash plays where you're like, okay, maybe there's a little something here. I'll go back to the Foster Morrow touchdown. If you watch that, they pitch it to Kendre Miller to the right. Miller tosses it back left to Spencer Rattler. He's got Jawan Johnson on a crossing route right there for about a 20-yard gain. But Rattler wants to go for the jugular. He wants to take that long pass. Not many guys out there can make that throw across the field into the corner of the end zone. He dropped it into the bucket to Foster Moreau. It was an excellent throw. It's probably the best throw I've seen him make since he was a rookie. So you have that going for you. He had the late interception in that game, but he was just trying to make a play, and at that point, it didn't really matter because you're down by 14 with just under 3 minutes to go, and your defense can't stop him anyways. At that point, that didn't matter. Another positive that I want to point out, and if you look at the stat sheet, he didn't light up the stat sheet or anything like that, but Clyde Edwards-Helaire got into the game. He had 3 carries in this game he had 5 carries for 20 yards. So he averaged 4 yards per carry, and this is a guy that has been with your organization for less than 2 weeks now. And it's awful to say 5 carries for 20 yards is by far the best of any of your running backs. He had 5 for 12. Jamal Williams he had 5 for 20. Jamal Williams 2 for 12. Kendre Miller just 3 carries for 3 yards, which he was supposed to take advantage of this opportunity, right? Alvin Kamara's been down for 2 weeks. All you heard Kendre Miller say was, well, I wasn't really hurt. It was Dennis Allen keeping me out. Okay, here's your shot. Go take advantage of it. Go grab this job. He has not done that. He's looked really bad in 2 games as that bell cow running back. He was ultimately replaced late in the game where they were just rolling with Jamal Williams because Clyde probably doesn't fully know the playbook yet. Jamal Williams, your most trusted back right now because Kendre Miller's just not making it happen for you. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire got out there, 5 carries, 20 yards. He had a 9-yard run in the first quarter where he looked really strong. Because this is a guy, like a first-round pick. He's had 1,000 yards rushing in this league. But what happened? Injuries piled up. Then a guy by the name of Isaiah Pacheco gets you drafted by the Chiefs, really takes over that job from Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And then Helaire had been out all this year. He had dealt with PTSD because of the issue that happened here in Baton Rouge back in 2019, right before the 2019 season occurred. Clyde's been through it as far as injuries, as far as mental health, as far as losing his starting job. He's back here in Louisiana, in New Orleans. And maybe that's kind of the one thing I want to watch going forward in this last game with the Bucs. I don't think you have a shot at beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are playing a lot better than they were when you first met, and you were playing a lot worse than when you guys first met. Get Clyde Edwards-Helaire involved a little bit. Can you bring him back? Again, I get it. You gave Alvin Kamara his money. He's been excellent. He's getting a little older. Kendre Miller certainly doesn't look like the answer. Clyde Edwards-Helaire can be a cheap option for this team moving forward. Give him a 1-year deal next year. See what happens. Give him a prove-it deal. If nothing else, he could be a solid back to spell Alvin Kamara, who has a lot of wear and tear on that body right now. Also, the free publicity that LSU got in this game. Me and Musso were talking about it before we came on air. Foster Moreau had a really good game. 3 for 47 and that 30-yard touchdown catch, obviously. Clyde Edwards-Helaire got in there. Caleb Von Chason had a sack. Terrace Marshall had a big catch. It was a 28-yarder down the sidelines. He high-pointed the football. He did a really nice job on that catch. I would have liked to have seen them target him a little bit more. So LSU got a lot of free publicity. Spencer Rattler, he wasn't terrible. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire got in there. There might be something there for the future. Outside of that, there's not a whole lot you could take away from this game. I think that you always talk about the interim bump, right? And you saw it for the first 3 weeks. Darren Rizzi came in. He started winning some games. Everybody said, oh, well, it's already better than Dennis Allen. The interim bump is gone. This team has regressed now the past 2 or 3 weeks. That spark you had from Darren Rizzi is gone. I don't see how he is retained this offseason. I didn't think so after the loss to the Packers, the 34-0 blowout on Monday Night Football. Then you lose to a Raiders team at home who you really should have beaten. I mean, that was the one win you had left on your season. I mean, in my opinion, they don't have a shot against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're probably going to finish the season 5-12. I don't see how Darren Rizzi gets the full-time job, but that's just a few positives in a season filled with a lot of negatives for the New Orleans Saints. All right, we're going to take a quick time out. When we get back, Harold Perkins made an announcement on Friday about what he plans to do with his future. Is he coming back to Baton Rouge? Is he moving on? We'll talk about that next here on Off the Bench, 104.5 ESPN.
Off the Bench.
Go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge. Your one-stop vehicular shop. You need to buy new. You want a Toyota certified used vehicle where you still get excellent warranty. You need a rent. What about leasing? I never thought I would lease. You know? And then I went in there and I had a number. So this is a budget that I can afford right now. I ended up leasing a Camry for 3 years and it was great. It was great. And then even better, I upgraded to another Sienna minivan. If you have not seen the Sienna minivan, guys, you need to. So whatever it is, though, you want a truck, hybrid, anything, go to All-Star Toyota Baton Rouge today.
If you're going to watch the Tigers play in College Station, in Columbia, in Fayetteville, in Gainesville, I don't know why you choose Gainesville, but if you did, you could rent a Toyota for that trip. Something bigger than you currently have, something smaller, something better on gas mileage, whatever it is, they have it available. Check it out online, allstartoyotabatonrouge.com.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few.
Welcome back to the best morning sports show around. Sorta. It's Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, welcome back into a Monday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp sitting in the host chair for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Jake, probably on a plane right now. He's headed out to cover the college football round 2 playoff games. I'm not sure which one he's covering this weekend, but he will be there. And T-Bob, well, if I told you, I'd be lying to you. I don't know where the hell T-Bob is, but he's not here. We are here instead. I teased it going into break a little bit. Harold Perkins has made his decision on what he wants to do for his football future. And on Friday, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he announced that he is actually returning to LSU for the 2025 season. This makes a lot of sense to me because if you look at his college career, where realistically would Harold Perkins get drafted? Not only is he coming off of a major injury, but he's kind of a guy without a position right now, if that makes sense. Now, we all saw him in 2021, right? His freshman year, or 2022, he burst onto the scene. He had 7.5 sacks, 72 tackles. He had an interception, and people thought, well, this is the best defensive player in college football. Now, in 2023, you moved him more towards that middle linebacker spot, and there was mixed results, right? We saw some things we obviously did not like, and then they kind of moved him back to the edge again. And a lot of people will say, oh, he was terrible in 2023. If you look at the numbers, 72 tackles in 2022, 73 in 2025, same number of tackles for a loss with 13, 1 interception each year. He had 7.5 sacks as a freshman. He had 5.5 sacks as a sophomore. So once you moved him back to that edge position, his numbers in 23 are really similar to what they were in 22. It's just when you saw him at linebacker, you could tell that he was out of place. Then this season, you wanted to try him in that star role, right? The role that Major Burns ultimately took over. We really only saw him there for one full game, and before he really got started, he has the injury. He's done for the season. The reason I mention Isaiah Simmons and why this makes sense for Harold Perkins to come back, if you remember Isaiah Simmons, he was the stud on those Clemson Dabo teams that won the national titles, and everybody said, hey, he can play linebacker, he can play safety, he could rush off the edge. It doesn't matter where this guy plays. He could make an impact. You look at Isaiah Simmons. He's been in the league for 5 seasons now. In 2021 with the Arizona Cardinals, probably his best year. He had 105 tackles. He had 4 tackles for a loss, and he had 4 sacks. Then the next season, he followed it up, 99 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks. So you're like, okay, he's got a little bit going. He's never had over 54 sacks any of the other 3 years that he's played. And the reason why is he's kind of in that tweener role, a lot like a Harold Perkins. Perkins needs to find one position and stick to it. Now, a lot of people want to put him back on the edge. And I get it. Freshman year, he was excellent. He was your edge rusher. 2 problems. One, he got schemed out of games. Me and Moose were literally just talking about this during break. As good as he was in the Arkansas game, the very next week, you saw Alabama say, okay, you're on the left side of the defense. We're running all of our plays to the right. Oh, you're lining up on the right? Well, we're just going to go to the left. And they completely schemed him out of games. And essentially, he was a non-factor, and he disappeared in those big ball games with teams that knew how to scheme around him. It's part of the reason you moved him to inside. You said, hey, if he's in the middle of the defense, it's harder to scheme around him, which on paper is a good thought. He just never really looked comfortable at that pure middle linebacker spot. So where can he play this year? Again, a lot of people say edge, but you're also really good at edge all of a sudden. Sure, you lose Swinson. You lose Savion Jones. You lose Deshaun Womack, who's going to Ole Miss. Gabriel Relaford showed a lot of flashes as a true freshman. Then you signed Jack Pyburn, you signed Patrick Payton, and you signed Jamari Butler from Nebraska. All of a sudden, you have 4 guys that you believe can make a big, big impact on this team at edge rusher. I'm not saying don't blitz Perkins, but there are bigger needs left to fill that I think Perkins can help you. Mainly the star position. A report came out this weekend that reportedly Major Burns is not with the team in Houston, so it doesn't look like he's going to play in the bowl game. Now, obviously, Harold Perkins is not going to help you in the bowl game, but there's a spot up for grabs at the star position. You would initially think Javian Toviano, but just a few weeks ago, Brian Kelly said, hey, we have moved Javian Toviano to safety permanently. I think that's his more natural position. Let him learn that position instead of moving him to safety and then moving him back to nickel. We saw it with Sage Ryan. Now, look, Sage Ryan, a lot of people say a lot of different things about him, but I gave Sage a pass up until this year because Sage Ryan came to LSU as a 5-star safety. Out of necessity, you made him play nickel for 2 years. Then you actually had him move to corner. He had never really played his true position until this season. Now, we finally saw it. There were some mixed results, but what would have happened if Sage Ryan would have played safety from the jump? I like Harold Perkins at nickel, not only because we had seen him play there and he showed flashes. There's a big hole there with Major Burns leaving, and here's what you can do in that star role in Blake Baker's defense. If you need an extra pass rusher, well, just scoot him up a little bit. He can blitz off the edge from the star position. You need him in coverage, back him up as a 3rd safety. What about linebacker? You need a 3 linebacker set instead of a 2. He can scoot and he can cheat inside a little bit and play that spot. He can play all of those hybrid roles from one true position at star. And you may say, okay, well, if you line him up and blitz him off the edge, what happens then? You can move a Javian Toviano or a Joel Rogers. We'll see what he has. Jawan Johnson was the number 2 star in fall camp behind Major Burns. They wound up moving him to offense out of necessity, wound up moving him back to defense, and he didn't play a ton, but he's certainly a guy that's athletic enough to do it. There's options there, but the star position, very much up for grabs, and it's one that when I see Harold Perkins, that's where we see it. Because what do we talk about? college football is expanding. You have the no-huddle offenses, right? You get the ball in space. Harold Perkins was a great tackler out in space. As good as he was in rushing the passer, a lot of people forget he wasn't bad in pass coverage, even as a true freshman. When he had that interception in the Auburn game, which really helped you seal the deal, it was the fake play with Coy Moore that I'm sure every LSU fan loved to see after Moore transferred. Perkins, he kind of cheated up a little bit, looked like he was going to blitz. At the snap of the ball, he bailed. He was right there for the ball. I mean, he's got the ball skills to do it. He's got the size, he's got the speed, he can blitz off the edge, and we've seen him cover. I think out of all the positions on the field, star is that spot where maybe he can make the biggest impact because of all the things we just talked about, right? I don't think he's got the natural ability to play that safety role. I think that's a little bit too much for him. And then again, going back to your depth all of a sudden at outside linebacker. Jack Pyburn, Patrick Payton, Jamari Butler, Gabriel Relaford. I mean, those guys are going to be battling each other for reps. Do you really want to stick Perkins in there? Because a guy like Perkins, you stick him at that pass rushing role, he's not going to be an every down player. And that's what you saw from him as a freshman. Again, I mentioned how his numbers were similar from 22 to 23. The reason it seemed like he made such a bigger impact as a freshman is because he wasn't an every down player. But when he went in there, he made the most of it. In 23, the overall numbers were similar, but there weren't as many big plays, right? There weren't as many splash plays in these key moments. I want Harold Perkins on the field as much as I can possibly do. I think the best route to that is at the star position filled by Major Burns. Now, look, we'll ultimately see what they do. I think spring football is going to tell us a lot about where they like Harold Perkins, but I think this was a great decision by him to come back because, again, 2 years ago, everyone said, hey, this guy is going to be a first-round pick. I got to tell you, I don't know where Harold Perkins gets drafted because, you know, he's had some mixed opinions of it in the last 2 seasons, and he's coming off of a major injury that cost him the entire season. I mean, he probably goes 4th round if he comes out this year at absolute best. It was a great decision for him to come back and increase his draft stock, and a huge win for Brian Kelly and Blake Baker to strengthen up that defense and hopefully put a player in a huge position of need heading into the 2025 season. All right, look, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, Bill Barnwell recently put out a list of head coaching openings in the NFL. Now, he has 9. Now, these are ones that have either already came open or ones that he believed could come open, where he ranked them. Saints, not surprising, more towards the bottom of that list. We'll talk about it when we get back here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success. and looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
All right, go to yourgoodwood.com. Yourgoodwood.com. Men's sexual wellness. I always tell you, live life without fear or embarrassment. Because you shouldn't have to. You don't have to. In fact, there's answers to the questions. You just got to go to the website. Because you go to the website, you can find a full list of services that they offer over at Goodwood. You go to the website and you can book your appointment right there. Look, discreetly if you want to, right there on the website. But again, the tagline is true. You can live life without fear or embarrassment. So this is something that people deal with, but you have to get it dealt with. And that's what Goodwood is going to do for you. So again, you can book your appointment. You can find pricing, all that on the website. The website is yourgoodwood.com. The number 225-4GD-WOOD. Goodwood, yourgoodwood.com.
All right, welcome back into Off the Bench. A surprising Jacob Hester Goodwood ad there. I appreciate Musso for pulling that one and not one where T-Bob accuses me of having erectile dysfunction. That one I appreciate a lot more from our guy Jacob Hester, who is working hard.
I couldn't find that one. I was trying to find. I couldn't find it. Yeah, it just didn't pop up there.
T-Bob has this uncanny ability, as you know, to just kind of put me down by any means necessary. So, for example, he'll be like, "Hey, are you limp like Taylor? Go to Goodwood." And then the Trash Rangers work. "Do you have trashy neighbors like Taylor? Well, get Trash Rangers." And then Pinnacle, the outdoor. He's "Do you have an annoying neighbor like Taylor that always talks to you? Well, just build your fence higher." I'm like, "T-Bob, I'm just sitting here, man. Like, what are we doing?" But I appreciate the.
I know nothing about that, Taylor. I don't know if you ever listened to the afternoon show. I don't ever. No, I don't.
Do you get picked on too?
No, never. It doesn't happen at all from 3 to 6.
Well, you're one of the lucky ones.
Yeah,
then, Moose.
Yeah.
All right, so look, I teased it going into break there. Bill Barnwell for ESPN. He put out on ESPN.com last Thursday. He predicts 9 head coaching openings. Now, for what it's worth, all 9 of these are probably not going to come open. He has the Dolphins on here. I'm not sure the Dolphins come open. And then the Raiders have won back-to-back games. We'll see what happens there. The Giants, they just won a game. What did they do with Daboll? What did the Jags do? They won yesterday. But here's what he has. He has 9 teams, and he goes best to worst. The best team he has as far as potential head coaching openings is what would be the most desirable to candidates is the Jacksonville Jaguars. That makes a lot of sense, right? You have a quarterback under a big contract, but you have a young quarterback. And while Trevor Lawrence the last year and a half or so has really struggled, you saw that really good second season from him. He took the Jags to the playoffs. They got a come-from-behind victory over the Chargers. He was able to advance in the second round and almost won that game as well. So we know Trevor Lawrence can get it done when everything around him is working. You also have Brian Thomas Jr., who set a Jags franchise record. He's a 1,000-yard rookie receiver. Travis Etienne's a young player. Tank Bigsby's a young player. Both of them look really good in that backfield. So you have a lot of young, solid pieces to work with. Jacksonville makes a lot of sense. In a really winnable division, I may add. Then he has the Dolphins. I don't think the Dolphins' job opens up. But again, for obvious reasons, that one's intriguing as well. Devon Achane, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill. We don't know how much longer Hill's going to be there, but he's there for right now. You do have the Tua situation, though. What does his injury history look like? What is his future in the NFL? At 3, he has the Bears. I get it, right? Whatever you think of Caleb Williams, I personally do not think that Caleb Williams is going to ultimately be the long-term answer for the Chicago Bears. I have made that about as clear as I can possibly make on this show multiple times. But you have a young quarterback. Can an offensive-minded coach like a Ben Johnson or someone along those lines say, hey, I can develop this guy. I can help this guy win. You have the receivers on the outside. You got the savvy vet in Keenan Allen. You have DJ Moore, and then you got the exciting rookie in Rome Odunze. You have all the weapons needed on the offensive side. If you shore up that defense, I can see it with the Chicago Bears. Their issue is their tough division. I mean, they're going against the Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions, and Minnesota Vikings, who all look like could possibly be the best teams in the NFC, and they're all in the same division. There's the Patriots, who do they move on from Gerard Mayo for a year? You do have Drake May. Drake May has looked really good at times this year, a lot better than most thought he would this early in his career. Then there's the Giants, which I don't know about. The saving grace for the Giants is they have a good defensive line and Malik Neighbors, Tyrone Tracy. Both of them went over 1,000 yards this past Sunday, and they are both rookies. So you have 2 rookie weapons on offense that you know are going to be there for the foreseeable future, and right now they're on pretty cheap contracts. Can you get the quarterback situation right? Although Drew Lock, 5 touchdowns yesterday in a must-have a game. He was excellent. Then come the Tennessee Titans at 6. Then he has the Raiders, which we'll get into. Then the Jets at 8. The New Orleans Saints at 9. Obviously, the Saints have a lot of issues, right? We talk about it. The worst cap situation in the NFL. Now, you have a lot of veteran leaders on this team, but they're all getting older, right? DeMario Davis, 35 years old. Cam Jordan, he's over 34 years old. Tyrann Mathieu, he's getting up there in age. We just talked about Alvin Kamara. You gave him a big contract, but how many more years left of this version of Alvin Kamara does he possibly have? You do have some exciting young weapons. You have a Rashid Shaheed. He's coming off of a season-ending injury. What about Chris Olave? He suffered a heck of a lot of concussions. What does his NFL future look like? There's so many question marks. I mean, really, outside of Taliesin Fuaga, Brian Bresee, Alante Taylor, Paulson Adebo, I mean, there is a ton of question marks on this team. Now, all of those guys are young and exciting players, but it's not enough to build around. And again, the cap situation. What realistic big-time free agent can you bring in the offseason? Whichever head coach takes this Saints job, is management's going to have to explain to them, hey, or they're going to have to explain to management, hey, my first year is a mulligan. First year, nothing but a trial run. Let me get this thing going in the right direction. Year 2 is the year where we're really going to start competing because the Saints are not just the year away. Now, for better or worse, the front office for the Saints has shown to have a lot of patience, have shown to give guys longer leashes than they probably should get. So that's intriguing to a head coach. Something else that's intriguing to a candidate, a really easy division. I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to win this division, especially with what Jaden Daniels and the Commanders did to the Atlanta Falcons last night. But you have Baker and the Bucs, who they're a good team, but they certainly have their flaws. What are the Falcons going to look like with Michael Penix Jr. moving forward? I know a lot of people are going to say, Michael Penix has looked excellent. Look, I don't look into rookie performances that much because it's hard to play quarterback in the National Football League. These guys are going to struggle. I don't think Michael Penix has looked that good. And that certainly does not mean that he can't get better. Keep in mind, this is his second start. He's done things needed to win the game, but he's made a lot of mistakes. I get it. The interception he threw last week wasn't his fault. There was one that was dropped that was his fault. He threw a pick last night, should have thrown 2 more. So there has been a lot of positives with Michael Penix Jr. There's been some negatives as well. The jury is very much still out on a guy like Michael Penix Jr. Are there any teams less desirable, though, than the New Orleans Saints? I bring that up because, obviously, look, the Saints have their issue. Worst cap situation in the league, tons of dead money. Most of your superstars are in the twilight years of their careers. But in no way do I think the New Orleans Saints are a worse job than the New York Jets. Look, we laughed at Woody Johnson 2 weeks ago, right, when it came out that, oh, we didn't sign this guy because his Madden rating wasn't high enough. He's got his sons Brick and Jack, which Brick, phenomenal name for someone to be in a front office position. These guys are making decisions for him. Who wants to go there? But also, Aaron Rodgers looks like he's done. I think he's done. He actually got replaced yesterday in the game by Tyrod Taylor, and Tyrod Taylor was a lot better than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, 2 picks yesterday. The Jets drop another game. And again, I've talked about it. Aaron Rodgers has run out of people to blame for the shortcomings lately in his career. He won a Super Bowl with Mike McCarthy in Green Bay. He never could replicate it, so what does he do? Oh, well, Mike McCarthy's the problem. I want Matt LaFleur. Matt LaFleur comes in. Can't win with Matt LaFleur. Well, I'm out of here. I want to handpick my team. I want to go to the New York Jets. This is the team. This is the coaching staff that I can win with. Well, if you can't win with them, your head coach winds up getting fired. Well, that's no big deal. That was Robert Saleh's fault. That's not Aaron Rodgers' fault. Robert Saleh's gone, and you're worse with him, or you're worse without him than you were with him. Right now, Zach Wilson and Sam Darnold have better winning percentages with the New York Jets than Aaron Rodgers does. Rodgers is running out of people to blame. But let's say they move on from Rodgers. Let's say Aaron Rodgers retires. I doubt you're keeping Davante Adams at that point. He's an aging veteran on a big contract. His boy Aaron Rodgers isn't there with him. I don't think you hold on to Davante Adams. And then if Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers are gone, does Garrett Wilson want to re-sign with your team? Now, you have Breece Hall. You have Braylon Allen. So you have 2 really solid pieces as far as running backs go. But, I mean, is that enough? Because if you lose Garrett Wilson, Davante Adams, and Aaron Rodgers, how desirable does that job become? And you can say, okay, well, their roster top to bottom is younger than the New Orleans Saints, and they're paying less money. That is very true. I've mentioned it that the Saints have these aging superstars. At least they will have a veteran presence. At least they will have leaders in the locker room. The Jets right now don't have any of that. And let's not forget the massive expectations that it takes when you're the head coach of a team that's in New York. I mean, look at the short leashes that they give all these coaches. I talked about it for better or worse. Mickey Loomis, Gail Benson and company, they give coaches long leashes, maybe longer leashes than they deserve. It's kind of the opposite of the New York Jets. So with the New York Jets, Aaron Rodgers' career, I mean, I don't see a resurgence coming anytime soon. What do you do with Davante Adams? Can you get Garrett Wilson to re-sign? And all the pressure and all the expectations come with coaching Aaron Rodgers and the New York Jets. You don't have that in New Orleans. New Orleans is certainly, I think they're 2 years away, but if the front office and management of the New Orleans Saints explain to a coaching candidate, hey, you have 2 years where you're not going to be judged, rebuild this thing, you're judged off of year 3, I think the Saints could be a better spot than the New York Jets. Going back to the easy division. As bad as the Saints are, that division is not world beaters. The Panthers are terrible. The Falcons, we don't really know what their future looks like with Michael Penix Jr. The Bucs have found their answer at quarterback with Baker Mayfield, but they still have a lot of holes on that team, including the defense, which has really gotten worse as the season's gone along. And then on the flip side, if you're the Jets, are you better than the Dolphins right now? I don't think so. You obviously have to go through Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, who look like they're going to control that division for the near future. And we just talked about Drake May and how much promise he's shown with the New England Patriots. That is a really tough division, and right now the Jets are kind of looking up at everybody. So more expectation. You don't know who your leaders on that team are going to be, and a lot tougher division. As bad as the Saints are, I don't know if they're hands down the least desirable opening out of the 9. But the point is, the Saints are obviously not going to have their pick in the barrel, right? If the Jags comes open, I do like that job better. If the Giants comes open, I certainly like that job better. The Bears is already open. I like that job better as well, as tough as that division is. We'll keep an eye on it, though. We'll hear things, rumblings of where they're leaning. For what it's worth, Mickey Loomis this weekend said he wants to hire a head coach that he knows. Now, if you're like me and you saw that, you said, well, Aaron Glenn, that's probably you right there. I'm sure Saints fans would have mixed opinions about that. I think you could do a lot worse than Aaron Glenn. But, there's guys out there that Loomis knows that we may not even be thinking of right now. So it'll certainly be interesting to watch as the Saints coaching search continues. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, we're going to look at the NFL playoff picture. Obviously, the AFC, who the favorites are in that conference, is pretty much set in stone. There's about 2 or 3 teams at the top. The NFC, looks a lot different right now, and it had some mix-ups after last night's results. That's all coming up here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
TrashRangers.com, TrashRangers.com. You need local, reliable waste removal here in South Louisiana. Take out the Taylor, if you will. Well, look, if you live in Livingston or Ascension, you get to make a choice on your residential trash pickup. So, like, Taylor can choose Trash Rangers, get them red cans, and experience a better level of customer service, give a damn, reliability, everything than he's ever had before. And that's because they're your neighbors, okay? So they understand, they work, like they're part of the community. They send you texts the night before it's your pickup day so you never forget again. That's the extra mile. And it's everywhere. And if you're a business owner, you want the same level of service, so guess what? Anywhere in the listening area, they got it for you. Go to TrashRangers.com, TrashRangers.com.
And also check out the website because we do have Christmas coming up. So the Christmas holidays, you're going to have extra trash. But don't worry, they are going to still pick up your trash. It just moves a day behind where it originally was. They're also going to pick up on Saturdays, TrashRangers.com.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family,
Welcome back to the 9th-ranked morning sports show in America, Off the Bench.
Welcome back into a Monday edition of Off the Bench. We're just here for today, and then we have, well, me and Cassie have New Year's Eve off. Our guy Matthew Musso does not.
Cassie doesn't have New Year's Eve off.
Wait, what do you got?
No, I got to work pregame.
Cassie's
I got to go
with
set
us.
up at Rouse's.
Yeah,
Wait, am
Cassie's
I
with us
the
at Rouse's.
only one in this room that does not have to work on New Year's Eve?
I think so.
Ha!
Must be nice.
Look at that. My day is beginning to turn around already, guys. Well, anyways, look, if you're not aware of what's going on at Guarantee right now, we are pretty much skeleton crew. I'm in the host chair, Musso in the audio chair, Cassie in video. On AFR, Musso in the host chair. I am on audio, Cassie once again on video. So, guys, we are going to have a lot of fun. We might be delusional during the last hour of AFR. We'll see where Musso takes that show. We can't make any promises because we are running on fumes right now. But look, right now, before we hit that top of the hour break, I want to talk NFL playoff picture. Last night, it obviously had a lot of shakeups because the Commanders clinched a spot. The Atlanta Falcons, to the dismay of a lot of Saints fans, I am sure, no longer control their own destiny for the playoffs. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, all they have to do next week is beat the New Orleans Saints. They will clinch the NFC South. So when you look at the AFC, there are 3 teams that have really stood out all year long. And it's kind of your usual suspects, right? The Kansas City Chiefs at 15-1, which is just disgusting. The Buffalo Bills, who won again yesterday in dominating fashion over my favorite quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. And the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson. All 3 of those teams, elite quarterbacks, really good defenses, and can run the football. Those are kind of the 3 that are fighting right now. Anybody who's going to pick anybody to come out of the AFC is probably going to pick one of those 3 teams. The NFC, however, a lot different. I mean, you look at the Philadelphia Eagles. They've looked really good at times, but a lot of people still don't trust Nick Sirianni. Jalen Hurts has had an up-and-down year. The Lions are the best team when healthy, but to kind of paint a picture of how injured the Detroit Lions are right now, they have 21 players on IR. 21. So as good as Jared Goff is, as good as St. Brown, Laporta, Gibbs, everybody on that offense is, their defense is beat to all hell, and you have some injuries on the offensive line as well. Can they hold up for a playoff run? Because they're already super injured. What about the LA Rams? They're getting healthier. They're 9-6 right now. They have 2 games left. The Cardinals and the Seahawks, who are both trending in the wrong direction. Kupp is back healthy, even though he completely disappeared this weekend. Stafford's healthy. The O-line's getting healthier. You got Kyron Williams. You got Blake Corum. Puka Nacua. He's showing that last year was not just a flash in the pan, that he really is an elite NFL wide receiver. And you have Sean McVay with Matthew Stafford, who have already won a Super Bowl together. They know how to win these big games together. To me, that's a team to watch out for. Moose, like, for the NFC, right now, who is your favorite to come out of this conference? Because somebody's got to win the damn thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the Philadelphia Eagles. When all's said and done, you get into the playoffs, they're going to have the best player in the playoffs in Saquon Barkley, and that matters. And he's shown now that he doesn't necessarily need Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts will be back, obviously, at some point in the playoffs, at least we think. And that just adds another dimension to Barkley's game. But, I mean, the guy just went bananas again yesterday with Kenny Pickett back there. So I like their defense an awful lot. That's always been a strength for them this year. Saquon's just a big difference maker. Before the injuries, I would have told you the Lions, but you got to have depth in the playoffs, and they are just going to be lacking that severely.
Yeah, and then your backup quarterback is Teddy Bridgewater, who has been there about long enough to be handed the playbook. And look, as good as Teddy's been as a backup quarterback, I mean, he's kind of one of those guys you're like, you don't want to play on words on his last name. He's the ultimate bridge guy, though. That's what he's been. He hasn't played in a year, though. I mean, we don't really know what we're going to get from Teddy Bridgewater. Now, obviously, he's still staying in shape and all that, and he's smart enough to where he knows the game. But if Jared Goff goes down, I don't know what this team looks like, because you have a Hendon Hooker who hasn't played, that you obviously didn't feel confident in, or you wouldn't have brought in Teddy Bridgewater, and a backup quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater who hadn't played football in over a year. The Detroit Lions scare me. Again, I look at the Rams. They're getting healthier. They're probably going to win that division. But I'm with you on the Philadelphia Eagles for also, it looks like they're going to have home field advantage, at least for most of the NFL playoffs, at least for the first round. That team in that stadium is hard to beat, and they're a team that travels well for all the reasons you just mentioned. Their defense is like a lot better than it was a year ago, and you have Saquon Barkley. He's 101 yards away from breaking Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record, and I hope he does it. I hope they give him the ball 30, 40 times next week, whatever it takes to break that record. But to Moose's point, like, you're winning without Jalen Hurts, and Kenny Pickett went down yesterday. Tanner McKee, their third-string quarterback, comes into the game, throws a dime to A.J. Brown for the touchdown. This team right now is showing that they are able to overcome injuries. I think they have a little bit more depth than the Detroit Lions because of all the injuries the Lions have. The Eagles have a few, but if they can get Jalen Hurts back, all of a sudden they look really healthy. Detroit's more than just one player away. I mean, half of their defensive starters are out. You have an injury on the offensive line. David Montgomery's been in and out of the lineup. How's that going to look? And then I think you still have a lot of question marks at your secondary receiver outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown because Jamison Williams, he's had injury concerns throughout his entire career. It's something to keep an eye on. Is as dominant as they say the AFC is, and it is, it's a little top-heavy right now. I think out of those top 3 teams, there's a pretty big drop-off. In the NFC right now, there's about 5 or 6 teams I could look at, and if you told me you thought they were going to win the whole thing, I'm not even batting an eyelash. I might roll with it. That conference is wide open right now. We'll see who takes control of it. All right, that's going to do it for hour number 1. And hour number 2, we're going to have LSU, Baylor, Texas ball, and we're going to talk portal with Zach Nagy. That's all coming up on the other side of this. Stay tuned. 2 more hours of Off the Bench here on a Monday edition here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Off the Bench.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood Subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Yeah.
Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
Hey, they said I got to come off the bench.
Now, here's Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
All right, welcome into a Monday edition of Off the Bench. 1 hour in the books, 2 more hours to go, and then we can see the holiday on the horizon. Well, Musso and Cassie can't quite see it on the horizon. It's staring me right in the face. We get through this day. We are off for 2 more days. Hester out doing his Sirius XM duties, covering some of these college football playoff games. And T-Bob, well, does anybody ever really know where T-Bob Hebert is at any given moment? Right now, though, I want to talk LSU versus Baylor in the Texas Bowl. It is coming up tomorrow, 2:30 kickoff out there in Houston. And depending on where you look, you will get a little bit different lines. But for the most part right now, the Baylor Bears are favored by 3.5. And you've seen the money kind of trend to them a lot here in the coming weeks. And it makes a lot of sense. Baylor comes into this game red hot. So if you haven't followed Baylor a lot this year, they started the season 2-4. And if you remember, Dave Aranda had a disappointing season last year. A lot of people at the halfway point of this year said Aranda's not going to survive this. They're going to move on after the year. They've rattled off 6 straight wins, so they come into this game riding a 6-game winning streak. In terms of quarterbacks in the Big 12, you look at the teams that were at the top of the conference, right? Everybody's going to look at Shedeur Sanders. They're going to look at Sam Leavitt from Arizona State. You're going to look at Jake Retzlaff with BYU. Sawyer Robertson has quietly been really, really good this season. He's completing around 62% of his passes, 2,600 yards, 26 touchdowns, only 7 turnovers. Now, you may look at that and say, well, hell, that's a big mismatch for the LSU defense. They're probably cooked. There is some good news for LSU. What has LSU's biggest weakness been this year? It's been shutting down a opposing quarterback that can take off and run. Sawyer Robertson, about 250 yards rushing on the entire season. He is not much of a runner, at least not from the likes of, Jalen Milroe, Diego Pavia, Marcel Reed, guys like that you really, really struggled against. They do have quite the running game, though. It's just not going to come from the quarterback spot. They have a 2-headed monster running back with Bryson Washington and Dalton Pendergast. Those 2 guys are going to give you problems because you have been susceptible to giving up big plays in the running game. We've seen it all year long. Now, on the other side of things, their defense has been pretty hit and miss, but Dave Aranda is going to have them ready for this game. He's a great defensive mind. He's had multiple weeks to prepare for this game, and he's going against his old team. He really wants to win this game. So, while their defense may be up and down, I would imagine you're going to get the best possible version of a Baylor Bears defense in this game. LSU comes into this game a little bit different than Baylor. They had that awful 3-game losing streak in the middle of the season where you drop games to A&M, Alabama, and Florida back-to-back weeks. But you won your last 2 SEC games. You beat Vanderbilt at home. You take down Oklahoma. So you're feeling good for the most part as well. LSU's had a ton of opt-outs, though. If you look at the defensive side of the ball, though, you're still pretty well put together. As far as defense, Sage Ryan's not going to be there. JVR Suggs is not going to be there. And reports are that Major Burns may not play in this bowl game as well. Outside of those 3 guys, you're pretty healthy for the most part, and you have most of your guys. Your big issue on defense is going to be depth. For example, when you look at the safety spot, that's obviously the biggest hole on your team. And you can say, okay, well, Javian Toviano has been moved to safety. You have Deshaun Spears. You still have Joel Rogers. What are they going to do with him? But behind those guys, there's not a ton of depth. So you may have your top 2 or 3 guys that you're going to roll out there and see what they can do. Not a ton behind them. And if Javian Toviano has to play that star position in place of a absent Major Burns, then you're really in trouble at the safety spot. I think the key to this game for me is going to be, can the D-line shut down the running back duo of Washington and Pendergrass? If you can do that, you might be okay. Again, Sawyer Robertson has been very solid throwing the football all year long. But make no mistake about it, this is a run-first team. You go look, both of these guys get a lot of carries. It's pretty much a 50-50 split between them. They've both been excellent. On the offensive side of the ball is where I'm really worried about LSU. I think this game's going to be tight either way. But offensively, no Kyron Lacey, no Mason Taylor. You still have a lot of weapons, though. You have Xavier Thomas. You have Aaron Anderson. You have Jelani Watkins. Everybody's been excited to see what he can do. You have receivers for the most part on the outside. All of your backs are available. Josh Williams is playing in this game. Caden Durham's going to be playing in this game. Caleb Jackson is available, even though he hasn't had a ton of run. As of right now, he is still on this football team. Your biggest issue is the offensive line. You're going to be without Will Campbell, Emory Jones, and Garrett Dellinger. Those guys have been staples on your offensive line now for 3 years. A couple weeks ago, everyone was wondering, what is Emory Jones going to do? He was kind of the key to keeping this offensive line together, not just for this game, but for next season. He ultimately announced he's not going to play in this game. He's preparing for the NFL draft. Video had surfaced, reports had surfaced out of bowl practice. Here's your starting lineup right now in bowl practice from left to right on the offensive line. Tyree Adams, left tackle. Paul Mabinga, left guard. DJ Chester at center. Then you have Bo Bordelon at right guard. Miles Frazier moves from right guard to right tackle. So your most experienced guy is Miles Frazier, but he's not even playing the position that he's been starting at this school for the past 2 years. DJ Chester's obviously there, but he's had an up and down season to begin with. And then Paul Mabinga has played in 4 games. Now, he's graded out a little bit higher in each game. His worst game was A&M. He got a little bit better against Alabama, and so on and so forth. But he's still not one of those guys where you're like, he's a plug-and-play guy. We can count on him to make plays down in and down out. He's still leaving a lot to be desired. So when you take into consideration the opt-outs for LSU, the makeshift offensive line that, I mean, you have 2 starters from this season on, and one of them is playing out of position. You look at Baylor, for the most part, they're very limited on their number of opt-outs. The 2-headed monster in Bryson Washington and Dawson Pendergrass. Sawyer Robertson, who, as I mentioned, 2,600 yards, 26 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, quietly been one of the better and more efficient quarterbacks in the Big 12, which is a conference that actually features a lot of really good quarterbacks. As up and down as that conference has been, a lot of people have a lot of opinions on whether or not that is still a quote-unquote elite power conference in college football. They've been really good at the quarterback position, pretty much top to bottom in that league. Sawyer Robertson has been one of the better ones. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth game. Now, as far as who I want to pick in this game, you know, Baylor comes into this game, the 6-game winning streak. LSU comes in. They've won 2 in a row, but they're not far removed from that awful 3-game skid that tanked your entire season. For that reason, I want to lean Baylor, right? They're the hotter team. They have less opt-outs. They have a lot more depth coming into this game. Both established quarterbacks. Nussmeier's obviously playing for LSU. Sawyer Robertson for Baylor. But when I look at LSU, sometimes a positive trend doesn't even have to be on the field. And I'll explain what I mean. You were on that 3-game skid. You beat Vanderbilt. You beat Oklahoma. But neither of them were elite football teams this year. When you lost out on Bryce Underwood, it seemed like, for most LSU fans, this is the lowest of the low. It can't possibly get any worse. Something happened with LSU, whether it was Brian Kelly, whether it was the coaching staff as a whole, whether it was the donors that are donating money for NIL and your recruiting budget. A switch was flipped after that Bryce Underwood decommit. What did you do? You went and got every single player you were targeting for National Signing Day during that early signing period. You have dominated in the transfer portal. You're ranked number 1 or number 2, depending on which recruiting service you look at, but you are without a doubt a top 2 transfer portal class. You have the number 7 recruiting class in the country. It just seems like LSU's done a lot of winning recently, and not even necessarily on the field. So while Baylor comes in, they're hot. You're on a 2-game winning streak as well, and this program is certainly trending in the right direction. So regardless of the outcome of this bowl game, it does not take away from all the positives that has happened the last month, right? You're still going to go into the offseason with a returning quarterback, which is the biggest thing you can do in the SEC. You still have Caden Durham back. You still have a lot of weapons. Offensive line is going to be an issue, but I trust this coaching staff to get it right. I trust Brian Kelly. I trust Brad Davis to evaluate guys. You brought in a lot of guys, whether it's transfer portal or in high school recruiting, that you think could potentially play right away. A lot like a Will Campbell and an Emory Jones did. I desperately want to pick LSU to win this game because I think that, again, I don't think losing this game is going to necessarily take away from the momentum you have going into the offseason, but a win in this game really establishes that this program is headed into the right direction. You win your last 2 SEC games, you dominate high school recruiting, you dominate in the transfer portal, and you get a win over a really good Baylor football team in the bowl game. You head into the offseason. You don't have that bad taste in your mouth. You're feeling good going into spring football. However, with all the opt-outs, with the injuries, Baylor coming into this game, having a lot of depth, I think this game is going to come down to depth. As far as your frontline starters go, outside of the offensive line for LSU, I think you're okay. Offensive line's a big question mark, but I just mentioned it on defense. Most of your starters are back. You just don't have a ton of depth behind them. Baylor, on the other hand, they pretty much have their full team available in this game. So for that reason, unfortunately, I am going to pick the Baylor Bears to win this game. I think it's going to be close. So I'm thinking, 35-31, 37-34, somewhere along those lines. But I do think that the Baylor Bears are going to win this game. However, I hope that I am wrong, not just from someone who's a fan of LSU who covers his team all the time, but I really think that all the positive momentum you've built up in recruiting and the transfer portal, paired with a bowl win in the Texas Bowl over a good team like Baylor, can really catapult you into spring and really get you feeling good about the 2025 season. So the game obviously coming up tomorrow, 2:30 kickoff out there in Houston. LSU Tigers, Baylor Bears doing battle. I am picking Baylor to win this game in a close one, but we'll see what happens. All right, look, we're going to step aside. When we get back, me and Musso, we're going to kind of give one final preview of round 2 of the college football playoff. There are 4 big games coming up as far as those final 8 teams. We'll talk about it. We'll break it down. We'll make our picks next here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
Go to All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge.com. All-Star Toyota of Baton Rouge. Your one-stop vehicular shop. You need to buy new. You want a Toyota certified used vehicle where you still get excellent warranty? You need a rent? What about leasing? I never thought I would lease. And then I went in there and I had a number. So this is a budget that I can afford right now. I ended up leasing a Camry for 3 years and it was great. It was great. And then even better, I upgraded to another Sienna minivan. If you have not seen the Sienna minivan, guys, you need to. So whatever it is, though, you want a truck, hybrid, anything, go to All-Star Toyota Baton Rouge today.
If you're going to watch the Tigers play in College Station, in Columbia, in Fayetteville, in Gainesville, I don't know why you choose Gainesville, but if you did, you could rent a Toyota for that trip. Something bigger than you currently have, something smaller, something better on gas mileage, whatever it is, they have it available. Check it out online, allstartoyotaofbatonrouge.com.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717.
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
All right, welcome back into a Monday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp sitting in the host chair for an absent Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. All right, right now, I want to look at the college football playoff because we got some big games coming up in the next 2 days. The first games will begin tomorrow. I want to bring in Musso here. Musso, I want me and you to kind of go head-to-head here. We're gonna pick these games. We're going to see who's right, who's wrong. And right now, we're just going to start Penn State, Boise State. Now, you know, I've gone back and forth on this game a lot. I look at Ashton Jeanty, and everyone says, okay, well, we haven't seen him do it against Power 4 opponents. The one time we did was against Oregon, the #1 team in the country, the team that is undefeated. He ran for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, and he did it on about 7.5 yards per carry. On the flip side of things, Penn State's defense has been really good. And it's the play of everyone around Ashton Jeanty that worries me. Nobody's been able to bottle up Jeanty. That's obviously easier said than done. But if Penn State is able to do it, I don't really trust Maddox Madsen to do it because everyone's going to say, okay, well, they performed really well in that game against Oregon. It was a 3-point game. Maddox Madsen was 17 of 40 in that football game. That may have been the difference between them winning or losing that game. I'll make my pick in just a minute, but Moose, where are you feeling in this game?
You think Penn State has a better defense than Oregon?
I don't know.
Well, if you do,
I tend to say no, but they've looked really good the past few weeks.
They've looked really, really good the last few weeks. I was going to say if you do, then this is going to be the best defense Ashton Jeanty and Boise State faces all season long. He's going to get his. The problem is kind of what you said, everyone around him. This is what I will tell you. Drew Allar hasn't been a world beater this year, but he's been incredibly more efficient and more impactful than he was a year ago. I mean, it's over 3,000 yards. It's almost 70% completion. He's got great weapons around him. I mean, Tyler Warren at tight end is one of the best in the country. Boise State has to avoid the fate of an SMU. They can't start slow in the game because they rely so heavily on Ashton Jeanty. Yes, that's one reason, but more so is Nick Singleton and Katron Allen for me. Those are two bruising backs who, behind that offensive line from Penn State, can just chew up the rest of the game. They can really grind it out when they get a lead of 2-3 scores. So, I mean, I think Boise State will put up a fight early, but once Penn State gets up by 2 scores, I think that's all she wrote in this ballgame.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's kind of my main point, right? Because it's not like you could say, oh, Boise State has no shot in this game. They're completely overmatched. To your point, if they can get ahead and they can run the ball and they can lean on Genty, they got a shot to win this game. I just don't know if they can do it. To your point about Drew Aller, he obviously hasn't been great, but he's won close games this year. I mean, you go look at the game against Minnesota. Should that have been a 1-point game? No, but he does what he needs to do. They win that game 26-25. They had a close game against USC in early October, a 33-30 game. He even brought his team back when they were trailing big against Oregon and really made that a game. I mean, Oregon won that game by 8 points. Not to say that Maddox Madsen can't do it. We just haven't seen him have to do it. Drew Aller has had to do it, and he's done it successfully. So, yeah, for that reason, I'm picking Penn State. I'm actually picking Penn State pretty close in this game. I think Boise State does keep it close. I think their defense is a little underrated, but I do like the Nittany Lions. All right, next game.
Hold on. One other thing. Penn State, statistically, has the best defense in the Big Ten.
There you go.
So they are better than Oregon.
They are better than Oregon, and especially the last couple of weeks. Like, earlier in the season, because, okay, if you look at it, earlier in the season, they were giving up, so they gave up 30 to Oregon. They gave up 13 to Wisconsin. But then in their big games, they give up 20 to Ohio State.
20 ain't that bad.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like in their big games, and then 10 to SMU. They did give up the 45 to Oregon, but, I mean, that game, they buckled down in the second half. I mean, they were better in the second half of that game than the first half. Down the stretch, that defense, 7 points to Maryland, 10 points to SMU. That defense has been really good. So, yeah, to your point, that's going to be the best defense that Ashton Genty has faced all year long. Texas, Arizona State's the next one I want to look at. Every part of me wants Arizona State to win this game so bad, not just because Texas is coming into the SEC and they've had a lot of success. Cam Scatterbo plays this game the right way. He's a hard runner. I love everything Kenny Dillingham's doing. He's the youngest coach in terms of the Power Four. I don't know if Texas covers the big spread, but I don't see how Texas doesn't win this game. Their running game has just been too good right now. I mean, as good as Cam Scatterbo's been, you have Wisner, you have Jaden Blue. Even when Quinn Ewers has not been efficient, you've had that running game to lean on. And then we talked about it against Clemson. Their starting center, Jake Majors, left that game with a concussion. It didn't matter. They slid over their left guard to center. They put in a backup. They are so deep on the offensive and defensive lines. They are the only defense this season in all of college football to not give up over 350 yards against them in a game. The only one. Arizona State has not played a defense like that. Sam Leavitt can make throws. However, he's not what you would call an elite quarterback. So this is very similar to the Penn State-Boise State game to me. You have an elite running back, one of the best running backs in college football. You're going up against the best defense you have played, and you're going to be deficient on both the offensive and defensive lines. That's where Texas thrives. I like Texas in this game, Moose.
No, I'm the same way. I think what you said at the end is what I was going to say. I think it's very similar. It might actually be the same game as Penn State, Boise State. Cam Scatterbo, great player. A lot of fun to watch. Has had a hell of a season. I think Arizona State's a good team. I think Texas's defense is obviously the best that they've seen, and I actually think Texas will cover the spread. I like Texas big here.
Texas is one of those teams. When I look at Texas, I'm like, if they can run the ball and control the clock, they can win the national championship. If they can't, then they might be in trouble. What is Quinn Ewers going to do when the game's on the line? We've seen him make
the ball.
Yeah, we've seen him make. We see Quinn Ewers make throws that you're like, there are not 5 guys in the country that can make that throw. We also see him throw it to a linebacker straight in his chest that is standing flat-footed. As many great plays as he makes, he is way too careless with the football. But if you can run the ball, which I think they'll be able to do against Arizona State, Texas is going to be fine, and that's why I think they win this game. And I agree with you. I don't think this game is going to be quite as close, maybe as some people think it could be. I wanted to save these 2 games because I think they're going to be the 2 most hotly contested games over the next 2 days. Georgia, Notre Dame, you've seen this line kind of fluctuate. Georgia's been in a 1.5-point favorite. Notre Dame's been a favorite. The lines have kind of been all over the place. Notre Dame is coming into this game, and it's a really bad matchup for Georgia because Georgia's defense, while they've been good, they have not been that typical dominant Kirby Smart defense you've seen in the past. They've still been very good. Offensively, though, they don't have the weapons that they've had in the past, right? They don't have a McConkey. They don't have a Brock Bowers. And you also lose Carson Beck. Now, Carson Beck's performance had been up and down for the most part this year. And Gunnar Stockton, credit to him, he had to come in there at halftime. He led them on a scoring drive and ultimately won that game. But he left a lot to be desired in that game. He looked like a guy that had had his first real action. How's he going to do when a guy who is as good of a defensive mind as Marcus Freeman has multiple weeks to prepare for him as the quarterback? Everyone says he can run better than Carson Beck. That's fine. Notre Dame's defense has been really good against the run all year long. But Georgia's still Georgia. They're still going to have an elite defense. They're still going to be physical up front. Kirby Smart's been there, done that. He's got the championship pedigree. Moose, who do you like? The Irish or the Bulldogs?
This is the hardest one for me. Championship pedigree does matter. There's key injuries on both sides. I mean, no Riley Mills for Notre Dame is very significant. It just, for me, it depends on which Georgia defense shows up. I mean, you're going to get the Georgia defense that showed up against Clemson and earlier in the year as well, in the against Tennessee, or are you going to get the Georgia defense that showed up against Alabama and against Georgia Tech and against Ole Miss to some extent? That's the question. If you get the Georgia defense that showed up against Texas, I like that. For me, it's just all on the Georgia defense. They have to be the salty unit that we all know they can be and have been under Kirby Smart, because no Carson Beck does matter a lot. I get it. The guy's been a turnover machine. He's also a veteran quarterback. That matters at this level. That's one thing Notre Dame has going for them, is a veteran quarterback in the playoffs. I can't help but look at it and think, man, there's some reason Notre Dame's a favorite, but if you're gonna give me points with Georgia, I'm just always gonna take Kirby Smart's team as the underdog. So I'll take the Bulldogs.
I'm actually picking Georgia to win this game outright. Again, Notre Dame comes into this game, and on paper, it looks like they have the matchup advantage. I'm not picking against Kirby Smart. I'm not picking against this Georgia football program. And then so many people this year, all of a sudden, for some reason, have said, well, Marcus Freeman knows how to win big games. Well, he won the round one game against Indiana. Depending on what you think of Indiana, that may not have been a big game. He really hasn't, though. I mean, sure, he beat Army, but they were overmatched. We saw what Navy did to them in the bowl game. Outside of that, their best win this year, Texas A&M week one, and neither team looked great. It's a week one game. I don't know how big of a game you call that now, considering how Texas A&M ended their season. And then if you go look last year, the big games they played last season, he lost. He lost to Clemson. He lost to Ohio State. If you remember the Ohio State game, it was goal-to-go situation. Notre Dame, 2 plays in a row, had too many guys on the field, gave Ohio State 2 untimed downs. Ohio State wins that game 17-14. That was a major coaching blunder. Now, Marcus Freeman's a year older. He's got a year more experience under his belt. Don't take too much stock into that, but so far, there's so many people saying, oh, well, he knows how to win close games. He's won one big game. He's also lost a handful of big games. I've seen Kirby Smart do it. He's been there. He's done that. He has multiple national championship wins, and I know he consistently can win big games. I'm going to pick the Georgia Bulldogs in this game. And the final game, maybe the matchup between the 2 best teams left remaining, depending on who you ask. The Oregon Ducks versus the Ohio State Buckeyes. Obviously, Oregon won this game at home in a nail-biter earlier this year. They're the number 1 team in the country. They're the only team in this field that was undefeated. They earned that number 1 spot, but now they have to play a team they already beat in Ohio State, and instead of playing them at home in Autzen Stadium, they're going to be in a neutral site in Los Angeles. Ohio State is playing really good football, and we talked about Texas earlier. They're two-headed monster running back, their ability to run the football. It's not much different than Ohio State. I mean, Ohio State has Travion Henderson. They have Quinshon Judkins. They are able to run the football at will. And then when you look, because when we got to the college football playoff, what did everybody say? This is not a quarterback playoff. There's not a ton of elite quarterbacks, maybe outside of Dylan Gabriel. But there's one weapon for me on offense. If you take running backs out of the equation, there is one weapon in this college football playoff remaining that stands above the rest. And to me, it's Jeremiah Smith for Ohio State. I don't think there's a receiver in this college football playoff that comes close to what Jeremiah Smith can do. He is that big of a game changer. Oregon can run the football. They can play good defense. Ohio State can run the football. They can play good defense. Will Howard has played above his head. He's been a lot better than I thought he was going to be this year. We know how good of a player Dylan Gabriel is. But if somebody has to make a play on the outside, Oregon does not have a Jeremiah Smith. Moose, I'm actually picking Ohio State to win this game. I know you and I have had kind of similar feelings on this game. What's your feeling going into it?
Yeah, I like Ohio State. I've actually had my eye on this one for a long time. I thought we would get it in the Big Ten championship. We didn't. Ohio State, top to bottom, is the most talented team in the country. I don't really think that's. I mean, I guess you can always make an argument, but I mean, top to bottom, I think they're the most talented team in the country. Oregon won the home game. Oregon was a 3-point favorite in that game. That's home field advantage. You knew looking at that line that if this game would be played on a neutral field, Ohio State would be a favorite, and ultimately they are, and I think that they should be. They were the most impressive team in week 1 of the playoff, or the opening round, I guess I should say, and they did it in all phases, offense, defense, and special teams. Will Howard's not going to set the world on fire, but he's a really good veteran quarterback who knows where to go with the football. He knows how to operate in this Ohio State offense. Yes, the two-headed monster at running back. When we talked about Singleton and Allen, we talked about Wisner and Blue. Judkins and Henderson might be better than both of those. So, yeah, Jeremiah Smith. And, oh, by the way, they still have Emeka Egbuka, too, who doesn't stink. The defense is playing really well. Yeah, I like Ohio State to win this game. And like I said, I've had my eye on that one for a while.
We did all this discussion, all this debating to come up with the exact same picks
in
all 4 of these games. But you know what?
You want me to go back and pick Notre Dame?
No, that's fine.
All right.
But to your point, sure, we all picked the 4 same teams, but we could go 4-0. We could go 0-4. It really just depends on how these teams get started. Like for an Arizona State and a Boise State, it is going to be so important for them to start fast so they can lean on their running game. And really, that's across the board. But look, we'll see what happens. Do me and Moose go 4-0? Do we go 2-2? Do we go 0-4? We'll find out when we get back from the new year. All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, Zach Nagy's going to hop on. We're going to talk LSU recruiting, what the Tigers need in the transfer portal, and we're going to get his thoughts on the Texas Bowl between LSU and Baylor. That's coming up here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
There it is, the extra mile. On the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further. Like vans customized for work or play. With safety and tech to keep you connected. Supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team. And backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Welcome in to the best morning sports-ish show around. Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Go to K to Z window coverings, KTOZblinds.com, K to Z blinds.com. And look, if you're thinking about getting a shade for outside, like we talk about throughout the fall, right? You get that shade. So if you're out there grilling, doing whatever, you keep it way cooler, make it just much more enjoyable out there, especially during the summer. Basically, look, a comfortable outdoor living area is a great gift for dad. Okay, so if you have a hard-to-buy for dad, you get in touch with K to Z. Do it now. And the other thing is, most companies have a price increase in January, right? Not necessarily K to Z, but like vendors and everything else. So now's the best time from a price standpoint to get in as well. And if you're searching for something to get your hard-to-buy for a wife, well, interior window treatments, come on now. Come on now. So trust the experts at K to Z window coverings, KTOZblinds.com. Window coverings at wow.
All right, welcome back into a Monday edition of Off the Bench. Right now, I want to bring in Zach Nagy, covers the LSU Tigers for SI. Zach, what's going on this morning?
Man, not too much. Ready to talk some LSU football.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll get into the transfer portal a little bit later, but, kind of the news that everyone's talking about right now, it broke on Friday. Hadn't had a chance to talk about it yet. What are your thoughts on Harold Perkins coming back?
Yeah, man, I love the return. Obviously, Harold is an elite athlete that provides kind of a different element to this LSU defense. So it's exciting to get him back in the mix, and even more exciting to see how they're going to utilize his skill set. We know that there's been some kind of different uses of him when it comes to where he's at on the field. So for me, I'm excited to see how they use his skill set, see how they can maximize his potential. And if anybody's going to be able to do it, I feel like it's going to be defensive coordinator Blake Baker. And we've seen how kind of talented he is with his schemes and putting players in the right position to be successful. So now it's kind of a matter of where do you put Perkins in order to maximize that potential. So it's exciting. It adds a new look to this defense, and a lot of the players are excited to have him back as well. So I couldn't be more ecstatic to have him back on the field in 2025.
Where do you want to see him? Because I was talking about it a lot. You could put him at linebacker, at edge, at star. Where do you like Harold Perkins next year?
Yeah, I think when you have a guy like Whit Weeks who's really thriving at that linebacker slot, West Weeks comes back as well. You got a youngster in Devon Keys at linebacker as well. I think that bread and butter spot for Harold Perkins could be at that star role. We saw Major Burns struggle to a certain degree this season at that spot, and there's going to be some times where Harold Perkins is going to have to drop back in coverage where it's going to be exciting to see if he can kind of get back, get comfortable and whatnot back there. But for me, I think they're going to try to put him at the star spot and see what he can do from there. I think it's going to be worth the kind of trial and error, but I certainly think that that's where they could put him at to start off kind of this 2025 season.
All right, Zach, I want to shift to the transfer portal right now. Right after the news of Harold Perkins broke on Friday, it was also reported that LSU landed offensive lineman Josh Thompson from Northwestern. What can he bring to this team, and where do you see him playing? Because he's a lot of people have him listed as an interior lineman, but obviously LSU has a big need at tackle. Where do you see him lining up?
Yeah, Josh Thompson has a lot of versatility to this offensive line moving forward. And you already brought in Braylon Moore, the Virginia Tech transfer, and that's the number one interior offensive lineman in the portal once he committed. So for me, when you look at a guy like Josh Thompson, I think he can be used as a tackle. I think he can be used inside. You're going to want to probably put him at tackle to start off his time in Baton Rouge. just because you're obviously losing Will Campbell. You're losing Emory Jones. You're losing 4 out of your 5 starters from the 2025 season. So LSU went out and made a splash to get him. Tennessee was trending heavily. And then at kind of the 11th hour, LSU came in and made an offer and continued to recruit him heavily and ultimately got him to seal the deal. But it's a player that provides tremendous versatility, was about as coveted as they come in the portal. And now you can have him come in and kind of test out where you want to put him. For me, I think tackle could be a spot where he could come in and make an immediate impact. But it's going to be fun to see how Brad Davis utilizes Josh Thompson because he's just a player that can do it all inside.
Sticking with the offensive line, do you think they're done with O-line in the transfer portal? Because we've been talking about it, right? Like Thompson can play guard and tackle. Whether it's Karius Kern, whether it's Solomon Thomas, they're kind of guys that can do both. You don't really have that pure tackle. Like, are they done, or did they like the guys that they've recruited moving them to tackle?
Yeah, it's exciting because I think you have a lot of youngsters that can step in the mix as well and provide kind of an instant impact piece. You highlighted Karius Kern just now, and that's a player that I think is a day one player who can jump in the mix immediately and compete for a starting job. And Brian Kelly alluded to that on National Signing Day, that this is a player that really has that SEC build already. So for me, when it comes to the transfer portal, I couldn't imagine them kind of going out and getting another guy. Would I be surprised? No, just because they've proven that they're willing to go outside the box and get just about anybody they want. So if they want another offensive lineman, they'll certainly go and do that. But right now, I think after going and getting Braylon Moore, getting Josh Thompson, you have Tyree Adams, Paul Mabenga, Weston Davis, Karius Kern coming in, Solomon Thomas. I mean, the list goes on and on. Brad Davis has an embarrassment of riches to work with. I think they have the guys that they need right now. But again, kind of circling back, wouldn't be surprised. I just don't think that's the route that they're going to go in right now.
As far as biggest needs remaining for this team, the position everyone's keeping an eye on right now is the safety spot for the Tigers. Are there any names LSU fans should keep an eye on?
Yeah, that's an exciting one. And I think ultimately it's going to come down to that quote-unquote second portal window where you start to see players from college football playoff teams enter the portal and whatnot. When it comes to names right now, I don't think there's that many you can say right now just because players are still actively kind of going through bowl games, going through playoff games, etc. But there are going to be some guys to keep tabs on in the next 5 to 6 days, especially with the window the portal's now closed. Now when teams kind of end their season, they have a 5-day window to enter the portal. So we're going to see some names enter the mix very, very soon. I'd expect LSU to take 2 safeties here. You got to add some depth there. Right now, you're really only working with Javian Toviano, Jordan Gilbert, Deshaun Spears. You're very limited. You're razor thin in that safety room. So I'd expect them to take 2 guys. It's going to be exciting to see the options that they have because, I mean, man, it seems like everybody that comes down to campus for a visit, they ultimately seal the deal for. So when it comes to safety, certainly a position of need. You're going to have to knock it out of the park. And once they do that, I mean, you're looking at a reloaded, retooled, and re-energized defensive backfield and just a whole defense moving forward.
All right, Zach, switching from Zach Nagy, our guest right now, switching from transfer portal to this bowl game we got coming up tomorrow, LSU versus Baylor. What do you want to see from the Tigers in the Texas Bowl?
Yeah, I want to see some youngsters step in the mix and make an impact. Really excited to see the receiver rotation that they throw out there. I think the names that everybody's excited to see is going to be Aaron Anderson, Xavier Thomas, and Chris Hilton, of course. But that wide receiver 4 spot, the guy to come in is going to be where I'm kind of shifting focus towards. I want to see if they put in Kylan Billiot, Jelani Watkins, etc. Excited to see where they go in the wide receiver room moving forward because you got Barry and Brown coming in. You got Nick Anderson coming in. But I want to see some youngsters also become impactful moving forward in the receiving game with Garrett Nussmeier. So for me, I'm really just looking at youngsters, true freshmen, etc., stepping in the mix and moving forward. And that also highlights the offensive line. I don't want to beat a dead horse here because we just talked about the offensive line. But I'd like to see guys like Weston Davis, Tyree Adams, Paul Mabenga, etc., get some significant run in this bowl game. Show Brad Davis that they can come out and really kind of carry the torch moving on to next season because we already know Emory Jones, Will Campbell, Dellinger, Miles Frazier, etc. Those are some elite offensive linemen. Now it's time for that next wave of LSU offensive linemen to carry the torch. Excited to see which youngsters can step in on Tuesday and really carry that momentum.
All right, Zach, you got a final pick for us? Who wins this game?
Look, man, you look at all the sports books right now, and everybody's favoring Baylor 2.5, 3.5 points. And then you go and look at the ESPN FPI, and they've got LSU as a heavy favorite. So it's split in a bunch of different aspects. For me, I'm going to ride with Garrett Nussmeier, and I know it's a homer take, kind of being a guy that covers LSU. But for me, I just think Garrett Nussmeier is just a severe weapon that's going to give that defense trouble. When it comes to LSU's defense, I know that they're lacking depth there just because the portal, opt-outs, et cetera. But I think they can get the job done. I believe in Blake Baker, and having a kind of a whole month to game plan for the most part for this bowl game, I think they're going to come out, fire on all cylinders, get that 9th win of the year, and carry that momentum into the offseason, because that's such a luxury when you have a new-look team. Garrett Nussmeier's coming back. You want to carry that momentum.
I hope you're right, Zach. That would give them so much momentum heading into the offseason. Zach Nagy with us right now. Zach, I'm going to go ahead and let you go, man. Thanks so much for hopping on. I've kept you too long.
Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it. You have a good one.
Absolutely. That's Zach Nagy right there. Covers the LSU Tigers, Sports Illustrated, and LSU Country. All right, look, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, LSU men's and women's basketball both played yesterday, and SEC played nearing for both of them. We're going to break it down on the other side here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
You like that? That's for teeth.
Okay.
CentralPlumbing.org, 925-8552, 925-8552. For 50 years. 50 years. Is that Hey Arnold's grandpa? Or no, that was some Rugrats. 15 miles. You talking about? You go to CentralPlumbing.org, 925-8552 is the number for take advantage of 50 years of plumbing experience, licensed, bonded, and insured employed, flat rate pricing, excellent warranty coverage once the work is done. CentralPlumbing.org, your one-stop plumbing shop, CentralPlumbing.org.
Go to the website today, see what they can do for you in the remodel game. That's at your home or your business. If you're looking to upgrade, they've got you covered, no matter what you're looking to get done. Also, if you want to upgrade by going tankless, go tankless today. Never run out of hot water again. Go to the website for more information, centralplumbing.org.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
At Relief Windows, we're more than windows. We're windows, doors, party plank, and vinyl siding. But our number one product is always customer satisfaction. Visit us online at reliefwindows.com. Oh, by the way, we do shutters too.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground.
Welcome back to more sports talk with some other stuff mixed in. Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
All right, welcome back into the final segment of hour number 2 here on a Monday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp filling in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert, who T-Bob will be back on Thursday as we kick off the new year. If you didn't watch LSU men's and women's basketball yesterday, well, I can't blame you because they both played really bad teams and there was a lot better things going on. But both teams did play yesterday. We'll start with the women first. Their game is a little bit more competitive. They took on the Albany Great Danes. They get an 83-61 victory. And look, Albany was a team that came into this game 10-2. They're one of the lower tier schools, but they're a solid team. And when you look at LSU, it was more of the same, right? Anissa Morrow, a double-double, 20 points, 18 rebounds. Flau'jae Johnson poured in 15. Michaela Williams, she had 18 points. It was your usual suspects that led this LSU women's basketball team. And as far as the women go, because both of these teams this week are going to begin SEC play. Obviously, this LSU women's basketball team under Kim Mulkey is going to be one of the better women's teams in the SEC. They're going to be ranked towards the top at pretty much every preseason SEC poll you see. Their biggest issue, they haven't been tested a ton in pre-conference. That's why when you look at this team and you say this is an undefeated team that was ranked 4 2 weeks ago, now they're ranked 6. Why is that? It's because they haven't exactly played the cream of the crop out of conference. But that's typical for a Kim Mulkey team. This is the way she likes to schedule. Look, she knows way more about this than I do. So they're going to be one of the top teams in the SEC. They haven't been tested. Will that impact them negatively early in SEC play? Look, as the season goes along, as tournament talks come up, this team's going to have played in a ton of big games. They're going to be fine. But I'll see if they aren't a little bit slow to start out the gate just because they're weak out of conference schedule. For the men, they dominate Mississippi Valley. Look, there's not a ton to take away from this game. They win 110-45. Mississippi Valley had 5 assists the entire game, and all of it came from one player, Donovan Sanders. He had 5 assists. Nobody else on the team did anything. This team, out of the 364 teams in net rankings, ranked 364. And thanks to Hunt Palmer, we know they ranked 364 in offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. So by every metric, this is the worst team in college basketball. So there's not a ton to take away from this game. I mean, sure, Cam Carter was good. He had 23 points. Damian Collins had 15. Jordan Sears had 15. Victorious Miller is your great scorer off the bench. He poured in 20. It's the guys you know. They stepped up. They did their thing. Big thing with LSU is last year they went 9-9 in conference play. And Matt McMahon in the offseason, he said it numerous times when he's come on this exact show. He said he thought they did enough in conference last season to make the NCAA tournament at 9-9. He thought they did not do enough out of conference, and he believes that's what hurt them. Well, I mean, the men's team right now is 11-2. They have some big wins. You know, they have a couple losses in there, but they have some big-time wins. I mean, the Kansas State win is one that stands out. The problem for LSU men's, it's kind of the inverse of what we looked at with the women. The women weren't really battle-tested, but they're going to be at the top of the SEC. The men, they played a pretty tough out-of-conference schedule, but the SEC men's conference right now is loaded. The worst team right now in the SEC is South Carolina at 9-3 overall. That is the worst team in the SEC record-wise. And it shows. Look, if you want to go look at the updated top 25 rankings in men's college basketball, Tennessee 1, Auburn 2, Alabama 5, Florida 6, Kentucky 10. That's 5 of the top 10 teams are in the SEC. And then right after that, Oklahoma 12, A&M 13, Ole Miss 16, Mississippi State 19, Arkansas 23. There are 10 SEC teams ranked in the top 25, 5 in the top 10. That's going to be LSU's biggest issue. I think they've done enough in out of conference. But unlike last year, look, they went 9-9, and conference play last season. If they can do that, if they can finish as kind of a middle-of-the-road SEC team this year, I think this is a league that's going to get probably 8 or 9 bids for the SEC tournament because I think this conference is that good this season. Can LSU stay in that 7 to 9 range? Can they be just a middle-of-the-road SEC team? If they can do that, they're going to be fine. They're certainly a much improved team than they were a year ago. The problem is the conference as a whole is as well. They certainly have an uphill battle. But Matt McMahon has kind of built this team in his own way. He likes his squad. He said he feels confident in his squad. We'll see. It'll be interesting to watch as SEC play gets started. LSU men's will start with Vanderbilt. The women will open with the Arkansas Razorbacks. That's going to do it for hour number 2. In hour 3, we're going to have weekend winners at 9 a.m. Devin Snow hops on at 9:15, and we close it out with Ask the Bench here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
At Ochsner, we know healing is a team sport. That's why we've partnered with world-renowned orthopedic surgeon Dr. James Andrews to create the Ochsner Andrews Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute. Whether you're a professional athlete or a weekend warrior, our team of specialists are dedicated to getting you back in the game. So whatever your reasons are for reaching your personal best, we've only got one: you. Ochsner Andrews Institute. Long live you.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Breck teamed up to reimagine your parks, and you imagined big. With your help, we went to work, creating 12 beautiful community parks across the parish. A family-sized water park, miles and miles of trails, and parks just for your dogs. There are more places to splash, to explore, to run wild, and even soar. You imagined, we delivered. Gold. Breck, your #1 park system in the nation.
At Bayou Automotive, we believe in a sales process that puts you first. We want you to experience an easy purchase with clear pricing and great service. Let Bayou Ford and Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram be your trusted partners in finding your perfect vehicle. The crew at Bayou Automotive is going to do right by you.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win. Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
All-Star Toyota presents Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Off the Bench with Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
They said I gotta come off the bench.
Now, here's Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert.
All right, welcome into the final hour of a Monday edition of Off the Bench. It has been a fun show so far. We got Matthew Musso in the audio chair, Cassie on video, and guys, for AFR, Musso's going to be sitting in the big boy chair. I'm going to be on the audio board, and Cassie once again on video. So it is a long day for all three of us, but silver lining, at least for me, I'm the only one of the three not working tomorrow on New Year's Eve. So I guess I'm the big winner there.
I've also been up since 3 a.m.
Musso's been up since 3 a.m. We're not entirely sure. Why have you been up since 3 a.m.?
I woke up and couldn't go back to sleep.
You were just so excited to get here. You were just like, guys, I can't take it. I got to go now.
That wasn't it. I just, I overthink things a lot. So
you do have a lot
going on today.
Like, not only we're all doing, multiple shows. We've all three of us have been doing it the past week and a half. You have a lot of tedious things to do behind the scenes though. Like you have to, Cade's been out. You've been handling the ESPN log. Yep. I've been handling the talk log. I got to make the video logs, but you got to put together the entire pregame, all the interviews and all that.
We added a hour on the front, so I had to redo a rundown.
Well, yeah,
create a new rundown.
We're not doing postgame, right?
No, there's no postgame.
So it's a 4-hour pregame.
That's actually a good thing to talk about. There is no postgame. Eagle 98.1 game day pregame is 8:30 to 12:30 Tuesday tomorrow. For the Texas Bowl, there is no postgame. There will be the LSU Network postgame, and there will be Whiskey and Wine. There just will not be Eagle 98.1 game day postgame with Hanny and Dixon.
Do you think Matt did that intentionally to give you more work?
No, I do not. I don't think that's why he did it. It just ended up happening that way. But we'll make it through.
Well, winner for me for not having to be here tomorrow. Loser to Musso and Cassie. And speaking of, let's get this hour started as we do every Monday with some weekend winners.
That's how winning is done.
That's right. We can't have anyone freak out there, okay? We've got to keep our composure. We've got too far.
I'm by winning. I win here and I win there. Now what?
Are you doing what it takes to win a championship?
Wow, winning.
Well, then I guess there's only one thing left to do. What's that? Win the whole thing.
All right, weekend winners. I'll get us started. So I sent the show doc out to Musso and Cassie, and I was like, hey, do you guys have any idea why my first weekend winner is going to be Joe Biden and Shane Gillis? Obviously, most of you probably do not know why Joe Biden and Shane Gillis would be paired together as weekend winners. Well, everyone knows Antonio Brown. You either hate to love him or love to hate him, depending on your opinion of him. Antonio Brown gave out his own award show. He did this on Saturday. He gave out the CTE of the Year award, which our current president, Joe Biden, proudly took home, that Antonio Brown gave out. And then Shane Gillis, funniest cracker of the year. So Shane Gillis makes people laugh, and then Joe Biden gets the CTE of the Year award. There are a handful of other guys that won awards, but I wanted to highlight those two gentlemen for these prestigious honors.
Yeah, there we go. AB, man. There's, we all kind of looked at Antonio Brown. It's like, this guy's crazy. He needs help. And in reality, he was kind of just living his best life. It kind of feels like at this point.
Well, okay, so...
And we didn't know how to handle it.
He is still insane. He still needs help, but
he's a menace.
He's making the most of it, right? Like he's a guy that, my opinion has kind of teetered back and forth on do I like him, do I not? I was a huge Antonio Brown fan then. The whole Raiders thing happened, the Patriots, all that. Then, nobody wanted him. Tom Brady gets him signed to the Bucs, lets him live in his house, and what does he do? He makes fun of Tom Brady when him and his wife get divorced. I'm like, dude, the guy took you in when nobody else wanted you. You could be a little bit grateful. So then I was kind of like, But, guys, Antonio Brown on Twitter, I read something the other day.
He's really good.
I don't know how true this is, because as most of you know and pick on me for, I am not on Twitter. But I read the other day, Antonio Brown is reportedly blocked on Twitter by Tom Brady, Joe Biden, and Caitlin Clark. That is a hell of a trio to be blocked by, and that's kind of how you know you've made it in life. So I guess weekend winner also Antonio Brown. Moose, what you got?
I mean, he's really good at Twitter. You kind of touched on one that I was going to bring up earlier in the show. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, man. It's a great story. He's been through an awful lot on the field, definitely off the field with the mental health struggles and the PTSD that he's talked very, very openly about, stemming from the incident here, back when he was at LSU before the Fiesta Bowl. To see him, hadn't played all year with the Chiefs. They took their time, did everything right with him, but ultimately, needed the roster spot. And for him to land in New Orleans, back home, and be able to make the debut that he had yesterday where he played really well. I know the Saints didn't get the win, and, I mean, he wasn't player of the game or anything, but just for him to be back out there on the field after being so open about his struggles and whatnot, LSU, Baton Rouge, Louisiana guy, fired up to see that for Clyde, man, and I hope it leads to even bigger and better things for him. I mean, guy's already won 2 Super Bowls, but, I mean, just that was an awesome, awesome thing to see yesterday.
So I guess that's like my next question because, I was talking about it earlier when we were kind of recapping the game. How much run do you give him against the Bucs? I mean, your season's basically over. The Bucs have a ton to play for. If he goes in there and has a solid game, Moose, do you bring him back next year? I do. He's a cheap veteran option. He's from here.
You definitely look into it for sure. They got some things to go through in that running back room, though. I mean, you have Kendre Miller. You just signed Alvin Kamara to an extension. Jamal Williams, I believe, is he's got a year left on his deal, too. He's a free agent for next year. So you have to figure that out. But either way, I hope it leads to something for Clyde.
Cassie, give us a weekend winner.
Okay, so mine's kind of both a winner and a loser. So, you know how at the River Center they do, like, ice skating and stuff?
Ice skating on the river.
I fall every time.
Well, I haven't been ice skating stuff. Like,
dude, you got to hold on to the side rail, Moose.
Yeah.
But
weak. Anyway, I had been begging my boyfriend. I was like, you have to go ice skating. He was like, no, I don't want to go. No, I don't want to go. Come on, we have to go. So we finally bought the tickets. He was like, let's go on Saturday. I was like, okay, cool. Show up to the River Center. Try to scan our tickets. Nope, he bought tickets for Sunday. So we didn't end up going on Saturday. So that was a little loser, but we ended up going on Sunday, and it was all good.
How did we do? How did the Cassie and Adam duo handle the ice skating?
I did pretty well. Adam did not do very well.
No, how many falls? How many falls we got?
I think he only fell like 3 times, but his last fall was a pretty big one. Went to like a full split. It was not good.
Ow.
Adam,
Ow.
calling Adam out on the radio. You love it. My next weekend winner is going to be the Pop-Tart Bowl.
Yes.
The marketing for the Pop-Tart Bowl is phenomenal because, look, let's be honest. It's a meaningless bowl game. Nobody really cares. But what do you do when you're a meaningless bowl game? You make people care in any way you can. I watched the Pop-Tart Bowl. I was thoroughly entertained. It was more entertaining than any of the first-round college football playoff games. The detail in the Pop-Tart Bowl. So normally, obviously, on the football field, you got the thick white lines on the sidelines. How about multicolored sprinkles for Pop-Tarts all around the sidelines and the out-of-bounds line on the entire field? At the beginning of the game, they did like a tribute for the strawberry Pop-Tart that was eaten last year. They pulled up the screen. They did a tribute to him.
His corpse was in the upper deck watching it.
Well, so that's the thing. After it was over, his corpse walk out, and he's like half eaten. He's got the jelly.
Good, dude.
It's excellent. And then the halftime show, all the Pop-Tarts are in their wrappers. So you don't know which Pop-Tart is which. And at the start of the music, they each ripped it off. You got like hot fudge sundae over here, a wild berry over here, frosted cherry. It was phenomenal. The wild berry Pop-Tart was messing with the ref who was in the end zone. One of them ran out there to watch the coin toss with the players. I mean, the Pop-Tart Bowl. If you are not in the college football playoff, the Pop-Tart Bowl has now become the go-to bowl game. So shout out to them for their incredible marketing.
I tweeted at the very beginning of that game, I said, if you are not sitting down right now to watch the Pop-Tarts Bowl, we cannot be friends. And at the end of the game last year, I said it, and I'll say it again here. Every bowl game should be the Pop-Tarts Bowl. It's incredible theater.
Well, and
the game was good, too.
That's the thing, right? Like, okay, because like if you're not in the college football playoff, your fans don't really care about the bowl game. But the Pop-Tart Bowl does so much. The trophy is an actual working Pop-Tart.
Yes.
Sideline Reporter does it. It'll cook your Pop-Tart in about 90 seconds. I mean, every single detail of the Pop-Tart Bowl is top-notch. That marketing team, they're going to get a heck of a raise. Musso, next weekend winner, what you got?
Shout out to Cole Kublik, too, for dressing up in the Pop-Tart suit. Having Kublik, Tom Hart, and Jordan Rodgers on the call was next level as well. They're made for that. LSU wide receiver U, they had a hell of a weekend once again in the NFL. I mean, Neighbors went over 1,000 yards yesterday. You now have four former LSU wide receivers over 1,000 yards in the NFL. I mean, it's wide receiver U. Why would you go anywhere else at this point? The publicity, the positive, spin that LSU continues to get at the next level in wide receivers, huge. But it's a credit to those players. It's a credit to the development at LSU with Cortez Hankton and all those guys. Huge day on a world stage again for LSU in the NFL yesterday with receivers.
It's so funny. I'll get a lot of hate for this because so many LSU fans are so passionate about it. I never cared about the DBU moniker. I mean, LSU, Florida, Ohio State, Texas, they all had their own claim to DBU for one reason or another. I always thought it was wide receiver U. I mean, I know LSU, they take the DBU thing seriously, and obviously you should. But, I mean, if you look at schools as far as elite programs in the NFL, there ain't a school that can touch LSU right now. And that's just the four main names. I mean, Terrace Marshall had a 30-yard catch. Look at the tight ends. Foster Moreau had a 30-yard catch yesterday. I mean, there are guys all over the place making play after play that were pass catchers here at LSU. I agree. I think that is one of the most underrated areas for LSU as far as wide receiver U moniker. Cassie, you got another weekend winner or loser?
I don't have any other ones. Sorry.
Okay, well, I have a weekend loser. And I know everybody wants me to go with the Colorado Buffaloes. That's an easy one for me. I'm not going to go Colorado because whatever. That bowl game could have went either way. I mean, BYU blew the doors off of them, but whatever. My weekend loser is going to be Shedeur Sanders, however, and not for anything he did on the field. So the day before the game, Shedeur Sanders was in the locker room talking about, these are my cleats. This is previewing my future. We already know we're going to get drafted. And he had New York Giants color scheme cleats because at that point in time, New York Giants looked like they were going to have the number one pick in the NFL draft. Well, Shedeur Sanders goes out there, has a stinker, throws for a hair over 200 yards. He had 2 touchdowns, sure, but he had 2 critical interceptions. So not only did he not play like the number one pick, the New York Giants won yesterday, and they, going into yesterday, had a 61% chance of being the number one pick. It has plummeted all the way to a 2% chance to be the number one pick. Don't count your chickens before they hatch there, Shedeur. Does not look like you will be a New York Giant unless you fall in the draft, which would be a bad thing for you. Anyways, Moose, did you see the cleats?
I did see the cleats. And I kind of thought the same thing you did when the Giants won. I was like, oh, well, about that.
You can't do it, man.
But then again, the Patriots right now say the number one pick. They don't need a quarterback. So
it's true. You could trade for it.
You could. They could still get back up there.
I just don't know, man. I don't know. All these teams keep winning. Like everybody's, it's going to be the Raiders, and then the report came out that that's where Dion wanted his kid to go. Was the Raiders. They've won 2 in a row. They're at number 5 or 6 right now. The Giants won yesterday. Right now, if the season ended, it would be the Patriots, followed by the Titans. I imagine the Titans are going to take a quarterback at 2, and good thing for them, if the Patriots stay where they are, they're going to have the pick of the litter in terms of which quarterback they want. So Tennessee Titans sitting pretty right now, not record-wise, but draft position-wise for sure. All right, that's going to do it for our weekend winners. We're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, 9:15 every single Monday, we are joined by Devin Snow. He's going to hop on with me. We're going to talk about why sports in New Orleans is so terrible right now. That's coming up here on the other side on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
Guys, I want you to check out Main Event right here at Baton Rouge. If you're looking to have a great time, Main Event is your answer, okay? You want... You want to go do some bowling, professional level bowling. We got a ton of lanes right there for you. You do a multi-level laser tag arena. Beep, 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 beep. Right there. Gravity ropes. Arcade games. Hundreds of arcade games. Delicious food with a new reworked menus, drinks, everything there. So you just want to bring the family for a good time, maybe a date night, right? That's always good for a first date. Have some fun, stuff to talk about. Or if you're a business owner, you got a team, you want to honor your team, celebrate the holidays. Celebrate a milestone. We have party planners ready to go on standby for you. Go check out Main Event at Baton Rouge today.
Yeah, it can be whatever you want it to be, right? Whatever experience you're looking for, they can help you out. If it is all those things that T-Bob was talking about. And yeah, if you just want to bring the family for, dinner and games and just have a lot of fun, you can do that as well. Open late. Check out the website, mainevent.com.
When it comes to choosing energy for your family and your home, make the smart choice with natural gas. You can count on efficient and affordable natural gas to keep you comfortable and reduce your environmental impact to help protect our planet. Together, we're fueling our energy future. Atmos Energy.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly.
Welcome back to the best morning sports show around. Sorta. It's Off the Bench with Hester and T-Bob.
Welcome back in to Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp sitting in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. Usually I'm over there on the video board, but our guys are off doing their own thing today. They will be back on Thursday. But every Monday at this time, we have Devin Snow, Hold the Mayo, hopping on, and he is on with us right now. Dev, what's going on, man?
Taylor, what's up, brother? How you doing?
I am doing a heck of a lot better than New Orleans Saints fans, Dev. What the heck was that yesterday?
Oh man, that's just going through the motions, man. Just one more game. That's where Saints fans are at, man. It's not going to look any better. It's going to keep looking worse. So we just got to get through it. And you know what the good news is? This is the best thing for Saints fans. This is probably the best thing since the first 2 weeks. The Atlanta Falcons now need to cheer for the Saints to win next week and to make the playoffs. That's the best news I got for you.
Well, and also, not only do Falcons fans have to cheer for the Saints have a chance to end the Falcons season. So, the Saints are in a win-win situation. They can either win and have Falcons forced to cheer for them, or they can end the Falcons season with a Bucs victory. Dev, as far as Saints Raiders go, anything positive you can take away from a game like this?
Man, that's kind of tough. I guess, if you look at who you want to keep next year, some of these players that that you didn't know if you want to keep them or not, or because you have to make a lot of moves, right? I think Foster Moore is a great keep. You know what I'm saying? This guy obviously cares even when we lose 1 million games. I think Brian Brzee is somebody that's kind of stood out amongst all this tragedy this year. Brian Brzee has been good. But no, not a lot of takeaways, man. I guess the takeaway is we thought we were bad, then you find out what level of bad you are when you lose to the Raiders.
Dev, I personally thought that it ended Monday in that 34-0 loss, but especially after losing to the Raiders, I think Darren Rizzi's chances of becoming the permanent head coach have kind of dwindled down to next to nothing. What are your thoughts on that, and who do you want the Saints to target?
I don't think anybody's going to be, knocking the door down to hire Rizzi as a head coach. I just don't, I just got to be honest. It was fun those first couple weeks, but now we back to ground level. I don't know, man. I even said last year, man, I would have loved a Kingsbury type. even though he didn't have that much success in Arizona, it's still a guy who's young. You know, the players will believe in him. He's got a creative offense. I'm not completely sold on Kubiak, even though we haven't had the right roster. We ain't had nobody playing. You know what I'm saying, to really see. But I don't know. I'd like a creative guy, man. You can't miss on the next head coach of the Saints. It's like the most important thing that they're going to have to do is get it right on the head coach.
Well, as far as head coach, right? Like, yeah, you're obviously bringing in a head coach, but you're going to have Derek Carr under contract. You think next year he's going to be on this team, but what have you seen from Spencer Rattler this year? Because there's been some good and bad, but like obviously he has nobody around him, so it's really kind of hard to judge him.
Yeah, I mean, he looks better than the last fifth-round pick we had to play, which was Ian Book. I mean, look, this guy is throwing the Uber drivers. You know what I'm saying? It's not – nothing is perfect around him. He's playing in straight poverty. So it's hard for any Saint to really stand out on this roster. It really is. So I don't know. I don't feel like he's the future, but I definitely don't feel like we need to release him once the season's over. You know, I think that he's deserved another opportunity at least next year. And even if it's not as a starter, I mean, he's definitely good enough to be in the league. He's just doing what he can with such a poverty team.
Dev, moving from one New Orleans team that's terrible to the other, the Pelicans absolutely stink. They're 5-27. Is it time to just tear it down and rebuild the entire thing?
Absolutely. More so with that. It's crazy to say this, but more so with the Pelicans. I mean, you got to tear down the Saints, but you got to get rid of all these dudes on the Pelicans. And I think it comes down also to the front office. I think we have a very soft cloud over the Pelicans. You know, this is a result of giving contracts to people because they were good people or because you liked them or you know what I'm saying? And we got to get out of that. That's not what we need to do, and it's gotten us nowhere. And that's why the Pels are 21 games under 500.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just absolutely unacceptable. The Zion thing has way past it's just run its course. And then some of these other guys that they've given a bunch of money, they can't stay on the court, and when they are on the court, we're not winning. So, yeah, it's definitely time, and I think from the top to the bottom.
Speaking of Zion, let's stick there real quick. Look, when you look at the Saints throughout their history, the Pelicans, like there have been some draft misses. Obviously, Zion's great when he's on the court. Like, where do you rank Zion in terms of like biggest disappointment in New Orleans sports?
Look, dude, when he's on the court, he's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's why everybody's so pissed off. Because when he's on the court, he's definitely that generational talent. But, man, now it's reached a point where he's been off the court for so long, it's almost like he's used to it. You know, it's comfortable. It's easy to be like, all right, yeah, I'm just going to go sit out again. You know, it's bad, man. I can't think of another. I mean, think about Zion Williamson was the most touted dude to come out the draft.
Well, I mean, dude, really since he was in high school, right? I mean, people knew about him because of his highlight dunks, and then it was the Krzyzewski class where he signed Cam Reddish, RJ Barrett, Zion, and they're like, oh, they signed 1, 2, and 3 in the country. I mean, it seemed like from the time he was 16, he was destined to be this guy, and he's just not.
Yeah, he's not. And remember, we were able to say, hey, he's young. Hey, he's young. Hey, he's young. How old is Zion now?
Oh, I mean, what? He's got to be 26?
I mean, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, how much longer can we wait on this, man? It's definitely holding us back. Every time I see a Pelicans recap, they're like, oh, well, this person went for 35. Trey Murphy went for 35. But the Pels still wound up losing. Well, you ain't got to call up Inspector Gadget to figure out why. They missing their generational talent. It's that simple.
So I just looked it up. He's actually 24, not 26. But still, I mean, to your point, he's been in the league 5 or 6 years now. Like, it's time to grow up a little bit, Zion. Look, as far as the Pelicans go, the rest of their roster, DeJounte Murray's been out there a little bit. I mean, what have you seen from him since he returned from injury?
I mean, I think that I think that that's a guy, obviously, that you would keep. And you've seen him play in Atlanta, and it's not like Atlanta was as bad as the Pelicans. I mean, they make the playoffs. I'm not saying that they like a top contender, but they were making the playoffs when they had DeJounte Murray. So I don't know, man. You gotta get rid of this. Like you said, man, it's 5-6 years. I mean, we're going on 4 years away from a decade that we've had Zion, and it's just not working out, bro. Dude, major changes, man. Major changes with the Pels and the Saints. It's definitely time. Especially the Pels, man. Like, they're gonna wind up getting to the point to where I don't know how they're gonna have enough money to keep this team here.
How much of this do you put on Gail, though? You know, I mean, Gail Benson, she, you know, a lot of people have certain opinions of her, but I mean, it seems like, you know, David Griffin takes a lot of the blame. Loomis takes a lot of the blame. How much do you just put on Gail Benson?
Money can buy the right people. So
Yeah.
she's got the money. She could buy the right people. They decide to stick with the same people. It's the same people, man. It's the same people, man. David Griffin, Mickey Loomis. You know, these guys are not succeeding right now. And how long do you want to watch dudes not succeed? I mean, this is two teams. This is all we got down here. Somebody's got to make a move, man.
Dev, speaking of people making moves, did you see Antonio Brown's first annual award show this weekend?
Yeah, I did.
Man, what do you make it of that? This is a guy that's like even more relevant now than when he played, you know, and everybody had a certain opinion of him. Like you either hated to love the guy or you loved to hated the guy. What have you made of this Antonio Brown resurgence? I mean, he is just in the spotlight all the time.
Yeah, and he just made that move. I mean, we got it. I know we say Antonio Brown's got CTE, blah 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 blah. Man, still made a smart move. You know, with the transition with the Twitter. He knew exactly what market he was going to tap into. I mean, who has higher engagement than Antonio? I mean, he's got to be up there with one of the most engaged accounts on Twitter. Now, I will say this. I watched the awards, and you could just tell when he's talking, bro. It's not, you know, he's not all the way there.
Oh,
you know?
well, no, I definitely not. But like, look, you know, to his credit, though, like, he was well prepared. He had Shane Gillis on video call when he gave him, like, funniest cracker of the year or whatever it was. I mean,
Yeah.
like, he was ready to go.
Yeah, Joe Rogan's, the award that Joe Rogan got, he commented on Antonio Brown's post and said, "This is the only award that I care about that I've ever gotten in my life."
Yeah, I mean, that's what Gillis said. He goes, you know, this is better than any award I've ever been snubbed for, like the Antonio Brown award show. I mean, he's killing it. You know, I saw something the other day. Like, I don't know how accurate it is, but there's a stat that came out. And it said, like, Antonio Brown is blocked on Twitter by Tom Brady, Joe Biden, and Caitlin Clark. If you got those three noticing you, like, you know you've made it.
It's a shame with the Tom Brady thing. Dude, let him in his house.
I know,
You know,
I know. We were talking about it earlier.
When you look back on it, man, the way that AB left the league, it was so AB. You know, he just couldn't have went any other way. It was so Antonio Brown. You know, him just leaving mid-game. Like, it's just, you can't make it up, man. But no, I think he's one of the funniest dudes on Twitter, straight up.
Dev, before I get you out of here, let's shift to sports that are actually going to be entertainment. So obviously away from New Orleans real quick. We got college football playoff games coming up tomorrow and on New Year's as well. Which are those games you most excited for?
All of them, to be honest with you. I think that you're going to finally see that upset. Man, the Texas-Arizona State game, for whatever reason, even though you would think Texas is going to smash Arizona State, something is just, every time I stare at that game, I'm like, dude, could something happen here? You know what I'm saying? Also, the Notre Dame-Georgia game. You know, we always say Notre Dame some frauds, but, man, could something happen here? You know, I think Oregon's going to beat Ohio State. Penn State, Boise, you know, Penn State don't have an excellent offense, but their defense is really good, and they score on defense. So we'll see. But, I mean, the two games I'm looking at is that Notre Dame-Georgia game and then that Texas-Arizona State game. I think something may go down there.
You know, you make a good point there because, like, that's, like, the biggest line right now of all four games. But when you look at it, like, Arizona State, Dev, they were picked to finish dead last in the Big 12. Didn't matter. Kenny Dillingham, youngest coach in the Power Four. Like, you got Cam Scatterby, you got Sam Levitt. Like, I agree with you. There's just something about this team where it just seems like there's no quit in them.
Yeah, and I love the coach, dude. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And look, they haven't played anybody, obviously, like Texas. But, man, bro, like, they have been rolling. You know what I'm saying? Like, they really have. They got a couple losses that were suspect, and, you know, it is what it is. All these teams kind of usually lose at least one game that's kind of suspect. But man, they beat BYU.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you saw what BYU did to Colorado. These Mormons, bro, like I don't know where they find these dudes, bro, but they fast, strong. It's crazy, bro. I'd love to see a documentary on Mormons who are trying to play football. It's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, we had one in Taysom Hill in New Orleans. He's not a bad player as well. Dev, RB&R day today, man. Where are you going? Or are you taking off for the holiday?
Oh yeah, right. I wish. That sounds great. No, I don't know where I'm going yet, but this will be 242 Mondays in a row. So it's just it happens so quick every single week. You know, it's like, oh, it's Monday again. So here we are. We'll see what happens.
All right, Dev. Thanks for hopping on with us today, man.
All right, my brother. Take care. Happy New Year to everybody.
Yep. Happy New Year, Dev. You have a good one. That was Devin Snow right there. Talking all things New Orleans, from the very bleak that is the Saints and the Pelicans to the exciting that is Antonio Brown in the college football playoff. All right, look, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, I want to kind of shift away from sports real quick. And we'll still talk a little bit of sports, but me, Cassie, Musso, we're going to chop it up. Look, New Year's is coming up, obviously, tomorrow, New Year's Eve. We got plans, we got resolutions. Or New Year's Day food, overrated or underrated? We'll talk about it all coming up here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs. Even in the case of an after-hours emergency, the light in your life shines brighter with Mr. Electric.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
At Atmos Energy, our Smart Choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Back to sports talk. Maybe. Off the bench.
All right, welcome back into Off the Bench. Just 2 more segments left for a Monday edition of OTB before we are off for 2 days. So, tomorrow with LSU playing the bowl game at 2:30, we're going to do a 4-hour pregame. So we're not going to have any local shows tomorrow because it's going to basically start at 8:30 in the morning all the way till about, 5:30 that night. So there's really no point in doing any of the live shows. So we are off for New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And guys, speaking of New Year's, everybody, we've talked about it with Christmas, right? Christmas plans, what you got for Christmas and all that. With the New Year's, it seems like everybody has one thing that they do every single year. So I want to get Musso and Cassie because I'm sure their New Year's plans are a lot more interesting than me, especially Musso. Musso, what do you do every New Year's Eve?
Drink.
Just at home, party? Like, what,
no,
what
I
do we
go
got?
out. I go out. But, that's, yeah. Mine aren't that different from a lot of other people's, I'd imagine.
Well, that's why you're a lot bigger partier than me.
It's the one night a year where everybody goes out. I have a buddy, his dad calls it amateur hour because it's the people who never go out. They go out and they just get in trouble and do stupid things. I don't do that. I keep it within reason, obviously. But, yeah, man, it'll be good. Tomorrow's going to be another long day. It's going to be a long one.
Well, so you of all people deserve to go all out this year on New Year's Eve night because you're going to be here, 6:30, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning?
I'll probably get to Rouse's probably about 6:30, maybe a little after that. And then I'll watch the game. Then family, we're going out to dinner. That's something we kind of started last year. I guess we're going to do that every year now. But we'll go out to dinner, and then I'll go meet up with the friends, and we'll just go out and have a night. Get to spend it with a lot of my favorite people, so that's good. Because
credit to you. I thought I was tired because all of us here had been pulling doubles for the number of people that are out. I've only had to host 2 shows. You've had to do 4.
Yeah.
Because you did Matt 3 days last week, and you got it this week. I only had to do Hunt Thursday, today. So you've basically doubled what I've had to do in terms of on-air prep, but all the behind-the-scenes stuff as well. Cassie, any tequila shots being consumed for New Year's Eve? Yes or no?
Better not do without me.
No, I don't think I'll do any tequila shots.
Okay, so for little backstory behind that. So we had our Guaranteed Christmas party 2 Thursdays ago. T-Bob Hebert, being the responsible adult that he is, asked all of us to do a shot with him.
No.
Musso started this.
Oh, this was you.
This was me.
You. Okay, well, T-Bob's the one that came and got me. So, okay, that Musso.
Because I went and got T-Bob.
Musso being the responsible when he is. Look, guys, when it comes to partying, there's not a huge difference between T-Bob and Musso, except T-Bob's more likely to do something illegal. Musso's going to keep it a little more low-key, but they both like to party. So Musso goes and gets his, and we're all doing a tequila shot. Cassie does her very first tequila shot and hates it. Tells me it's one of the worst things she's done. But lo and behold, you and a couple others, Musso was there as well. Y'all go to LaBerge after the Christmas party, and you did yet another tequila shot. Cassie, why?
Well,
easy.
Well,
Easy
Musso
on the
had a
reason.
story, so he was like, you got to hear the story, but you have to take the shot. So I took the shot and heard the story. It was great.
Okay. So Musso
Probably shouldn't have told
conned
that
you
story
into
as I did, but
conned you
whatever.
into doing it because I was like,
great.
I saw the video and I asked you the next day. I'm like, you said the first one was absolutely awful, but Musso somehow convinced you to do another
I
one.
hear the story.
I get it. I definitely get it. So for us for New Year's Eve, so me and Victoria, we will be married 2 years in March, but we have been together since 2014. Quite a while. Every year we go to her family friend's house. Now they live in Pine Grove, Louisiana. If you don't know where Pine Grove is, it's cornfield, cow pasture, one highway. That's pretty much the entire city of Pine Grove. You've seen it. We have not done that in 2 years. We're not doing it again this year. Had a New Year's Eve wedding 2 years ago. Last year, I don't know why we didn't go. This year, Victoria's mother is going to be in Texas. That's where her sister lives. So, guys, good news for me. I like going out there, but believe it or not, I don't like driving 40 minutes in the middle of nowhere, driving 40 minutes back at 3 in the morning. It's just not something I enjoy. I got a low-key New Year's Eve. I might not even leave the house tomorrow afternoon. Like, there's a chance that happens.
So I did that last year, and there was a reason. LSU played a bowl game at 11 a.m., which is stupid, and it made our pregame show go on air at 7 a.m. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to be responsible for once. I'm not going to go out and just get incredibly gamer because the Fiesta Bowl I did,
yeah,
and I had to be here to run the board on that show. That was also an 11 a.m. kickoff. That was
a problem.
Miserable day of work. I was like, I'm going to be responsible. And I just went to dinner with family, and then I went home. Problem was, whenever I went to sleep, there were fireworks popping all around me, so I still didn't get to sleep till after midnight anyway. So I'm like, I really should have just gone out. So I'm not no good with the low-key New Year's.
Well, so, like, we have a low-key New Year's. Having a dog on New Year's Eve, though, kind of throws a wrench
That's
into
a
it.
bummer,
with all the,
man. They get real scared.
With all the fireworks.
Yeah.
But my
I don't
dog
like
has
that.
actually been okay. I mean, last year was his first New Year's Eve. He's not even 2 years old yet. So last year was his first New Year's. Oh, you can say, Moose, he's 65 pounds, okay? He's fully grown.
He's a good dog, sounds like.
I'm
a big dog guy.
He has the mindset of a child, does not realize how big he actually is. But no, he's done pretty good. Victoria is excellent at training this dog. I mean, the dog is just incredibly smart, way smarter than you or I or Cassie or anybody else in here. She's taught him, like, anytime she hears a noise, she'll just say firework. And, like, let it just, like, really casually. So now he's kind of good with fireworks because he just knows, it's just a firework, no big deal. So we're good there. As far as New Year's Day, me and my family, we typically go, we have, like, a family lunch, really, at about, like, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Don't know where yet, though. We pick a new spot every single year. That's kind of the fun thing about it. Like, as much as I love tradition, I also love the fact that, like, we have a tradition, but it's not the same old every single year. There's some wrinkles thrown in there as well. But I wanted to ask you guys this. So your typical New Year's food, what? You have like some sort of roast, like whether it's a pork roast, beef, something like that. It's like some sort of roast for your meat. You have black-eyed peas, and you have cabbage. That's your typical New Year's Eve, like what you're supposed to eat, quote unquote, on New Year's. Is New Year's food overrated or underrated?
So we normally do a ham. I love ham.
Yeah, we either do a ham or like a pork roast, something like that. Yeah.
I absolutely hate black-eyed peas. Always have. Think they're disgusting.
The food or the band?
The food.
I was about to say, the band put out some hits.
Yeah, I don't absolutely hate them. They're not my favorite, but I don't absolutely hate them. I absolutely hate the food, black-eyed peas. Cabbage, there's like really only one cabbage that I will eat, and it's the cabbage that my brother-in-law makes. And before that, I didn't even eat cabbage.
Okay.
But it's really good. So 2 out of the 3, I mean, I'm really indifferent on it, man. I don't have to have it every year like some people do. I can take it or leave it. But, I mean, if you're I like 2 out of the 3 things.
Cassie, overrated or underrated?
I mean, I kind of agree with Musso. We don't really do, like, any traditional food. It's kind of, like, different every year. The only thing my dad will do the same every year is he'll do oysters. Like, he used to, like, always like travois oysters. So that's really good. I don't like black-eyed peas either, so I don't know. I think it depends because we never do the same thing every year.
So I'm very much like, my family's the traditional black-eyed peas, cabbage, pork, ham, something like that. I got to tell you guys, New Year's Eve food is 100% overrated. Not that I don't like it, but you have to have, but like, what is it? It's like one of them's for health, one of them's for wealth or something.
Something like that.
Like
yeah.
either peas are wealth, cabbage is health or something. Like it might be flip-flopped. I'm not exactly sure, but last year my mother did cabbage rolls, which, baked them. It's almost like an egg roll, like it's shape-wise, but wrap it in cabbage. You do like a ground meat with like a dirty rice inside with a little bit of meat, a little bit of rice. That is phenomenal, but honestly, like, I don't know. We do the traditional New Year's every year, and I'm not that big of a fan of it. The food's fine. It's not that I don't like it. It's just, there's a lot better stuff out there. Like, I much more look forward to, like, the lunch we go do every year at some different restaurant in Baton Rouge instead of coming home and having the cabbage and black-eyed peas dinner. Like, we do that. We do a little bit of dirty rice. We'll do cornbread. Cornbread's a big one for us on New Year's as well, but it's fine.
Now, dirty rice and cornbread, I love both of those things.
I do too. But, like, is that ever going to be at, like, the top of my, oh, hell, I got to have, like, dirty rice and cornbread right now? No. At least not for me. Like, I love them. They're both good side. Like, I feel like New Year's is nothing but, like, side dishes. Like, black-eyed peas is a side. Cabbage is a side. Cornbread's a side. Like, all that. Like, there's not a big main food for me that I have to have every year on New Year's. So, for that reason, I got to say they're overrated.
I don't disagree. Like I said, I mean, I don't seek it out. I don't have to have it every year.
All right, well, look, we're going to take a quick timeout. When we get back, we're going to close out this show with Ask the Bench. Get your Ask the Bench questions in our YouTube chat. They're going to be college football playoff related, LSU related, New Year's related, holiday themed, whatever you want. That's coming up on the other side here on Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
All
All right, go to getgordon.com. Getgordon.com. That's Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. And on that website that we give you every day, you can do a lot. You can check out cases that they can handle for you in the courtroom. You can find past client results of what they've done in the courtroom. You can actually have a chat right there with an online agent. As soon as you go to the homepage, it's going to pop up. So any question that you might have. You also can set up that free consultation right there on the homepage of the website. Now, if you want to see what they're doing in the community, remember they're always doing something here in Louisiana, not just here in Baton Rouge, but throughout the state. So you go to any major social media, at Get Gordon is always going to be the handle to see what they're doing in your community, see what they're doing with your favorite athletes throughout Louisiana. And as always, if you've got a question, you need more information, you pick up the phone. It's your area code in Louisiana, followed by 888-8888. Get Gordon and get it done.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary, for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Savor game day platters and snacks, plus drink specials at 1717 Kitchen and Cocktail. So come out for game day and let our team make you the MVP. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
At Atmos Energy, our smart choice solutions help customers save energy and emissions with rebates up to $500 off high-efficiency natural gas appliances, smart thermostats, and weatherization upgrades. Together, we're fueling our energy future.
Electricity is all around us, and our families depend on it. Every day is sparked by the power of a cold drink or a warm meal, a movie night, and a comforting light at the end of a dark hallway. From sunrise to sunset, playtime to bedtime, our team is ready to take care of your electrical needs, even in the case of an after-hours.
Welcome back to the 9th-ranked morning sports show in America. Off the bench.
GoTommies.com, GeauxTommies.com, GeauxTommies.com. If you need Hardy Plank or vinyl siding, wood or vinyl windows, remember, these are energy-efficient siding and windows, meaning that these are investments that really pay for themselves over time with the amount of money that you'll save on bills and whatnot. Also, how about this, guys? Does it get any better than this? Lifetime warranties. I mean, come on. What? What are we talking about? So, invest today. Tommy's Windows, Doors, and Siding, GeauxTommies.com.
And once you go to the website, we tell you every single day, sure, you can check out testimonials of past clients. You can check out the gallery of work that they have done for your neighbors in the area. But If you've got a custom job, if there is something that you have said, I wish we could get this done, Tommy and the team are going to come out. They're going to tell you how they're going to get it done. So go check out the website. It is a great tool. Go ahead and contact them today at 225-250-8808. GoTommies.com.
All right, welcome back into the final segment of a Monday edition of Off the Bench. Taylor Sharp here with you, filling in for Jacob Hester and T-Bob Hebert. They will both be back on Thursday. Right now, let's get into a little Ask the Bench. Ask the Bench, the first one up there. This one will be for Musso and Cassie first. Ask the Bench, what is your New Year's resolution if you have one?
I don't have one.
I haven't thought that far yet.
Well, aren't we just a boring trio? Because I don't have one either. Guys, I never set a New Year's resolution, and here's why. I'm one of those people who's like hardcore. If I go to a New Year's resolution, I'm like, oh, I'm going to make this happen 3 weeks in. Something comes up, I forget about it, I get scatterbrained, I don't do it. So I'm always like, if you have a resolution, you might not get to that resolution. Therefore, just don't make one. I'm already a pretty responsible person for my age. Like I don't really do anything crazy that I'm like, hey, like you have to stop that. Like somebody in the YouTube chat said, Taylor's New Year's resolution is going to be to quit drinking NOS energy drinks. Guys, if you think that I'm going to stop drinking energy drinks, I got one right here. I'm probably going to have a second one. Like, yes, I know they are bad for you, but you know what? They make me feel good. It's my guilty pleasure. Everybody has a guilty pleasure. I'm not stopping. Like, there is no reason for me to stop drinking energy drinks. Like, nothing that I can think of. So I'm exactly with you guys. I don't have a New Year's resolution either. Okay, ask the bench. Will Cincinnati have a miracle weekend and things work out to make the playoffs?
I mean, I'd love to see that, but, I mean, the odds are no.
Yeah, they're a little behind the eight
They have
ball.
to rely on the Jets, for God's sake.
They have to rely on the Jets. The Broncos either have to tie or lose, and the Bengals have to win. Like there's 2 or 3 teams that are ahead of them in terms of like in the hunt teams. A lot has to happen. I'm gonna say no. It would be great to see them in there because I think that's a team that nobody would want to play the way that Joe Burrow's playing this year. But I think they got too much working against them. Ask the bench, did you guys consider opting out mid-show? So I would have loved to have opted out mid-show, but again, this exact same trio is going to be doing AFR from 3 to 6. And honestly, guys, like when I tell you nobody's here, nobody's here. Like if one of us 3 opted out of the show, there would not have been a show. Like nobody else is here to take our place. So it's like, even if we wanted to opt out, we really couldn't opt out. Like that's just kind of how the day's going.
Please don't opt out of the afternoon, please.
Oh no, I am here for the long. I got to do the Matt McMahon show till 8:00 tonight. I don't know why I volunteered for that or why they're having one day before the New Year's holiday, but they are. Ask the bench, if you had to train someone to fill in on the board that had 0 experience, how many days would it take to train them? So like to work the board by themselves. So audio, I'm gonna say 2 extensive days of training, maybe 3. Would you agree with that? Like if it's like you came in here for hours at a time?
Only 2 days?
Well, you did this for me.
Yeah.
You
No, I'm
did
just
this
saying
for
like
me already.
because again,
But you made it through it.
Filling
I wrote
in
up a
for
good
me,
cheat sheet.
filling in for me could mean I'm here or Musso's here. Like for example, I don't know what the hell I'm doing half the time on AFR audio, but whenever I'm filling in, it's because Musso's here. Yeah. So like you kind of have somebody to help you. So like you don't have to be like an expert at it. You just have to be proficient enough to last. So I think 2 days audio board. Maybe 4 for video. I think
did it with Matt.
I think we can get it.
You had only sat with me. You never touched the board. You'd only sat with me for like.
I think I shadowed you for maybe like a week.
Was it a week?
And then you just gave me like a quick hour run through with a like very descriptive cheat sheet.
Yep.
And we made it.
We made it.
It was very stressful.
You didn't really text me or call me throughout the show either.
No, I think I might have just texted you once just to double check something, but.
So, I mean, it can be done.
I don't like making mistakes. It was so stressful.
I don't know anybody who does, Cassie.
Well, you know, when you get into this business, and you've already noticed it a little bit, but you just kind of got to say yes to things and then learn as you go. Like half the time I'm like Matt's like, hey, can you do that? I have no idea how to do it. I'm like, yeah, I can do that. No problem. All right, look, that's going to do it for Ask the Bench, and that's going to do it for today's edition of Off the Bench. Again, Jacob Hester, T-Bob Hebert. Well, T-Bob for sure. I don't know about Jake. They will be back on Thursday. We'll recap our new year. We'll recap the Texas Bowl and round 2 of the college football playoff. That and a whole lot more coming up. I'm super excited. I hope all of you have a good new year. Go Tigers. We'll see if the Saints get any better. Probably not, but we'll be back on Thursday for Off the Bench.
Off the Bench.
Looking for the ultimate game day experience? Come to the Queen Casino in Baton Rouge. Wall-to-wall TVs mean you'll see every touchdown in HD. Place your bets and feel the thrill of every play with our DraftKings Sportsbook. The Queen Casino, where every moment is a win.
The Windsor Senior Living Community in Mandeville, Louisiana is a beautiful, vibrant apartment community geared toward seniors. They are nestled right in the heart of Mandeville, where seniors live a more carefree lifestyle in spacious apartments with the peace of mind that comes from having a little extra help. Call the Windsor at 985-624-8040 to schedule a lunch and tour. Come see how the Windsor can be your passport to peace of mind.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money and time. Gulf Coast Bank and Trust, the bank that cares about you.
Hey, it's Matt Moscona. For years, you've heard me tell you about Insurance Network of Louisiana, helping you find better coverage for less money. But it's not just for your home and auto. They also offer commercial property. So, retail stores, professional offices like doctors, dentists, attorneys, clothing boutiques. Insurance Network of Louisiana can find you better coverage for less money. They service the entire state of Louisiana, and they're local. So call today at 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
Jerry and Benny Payne began Central Plumbing Company out of their driveway in Tanglewood subdivision. 50 years later and 4 generations down the road, we continue to serve Baton Rouge and the surrounding areas for all of their plumbing needs. Residential, commercial, industrial, or hospitality, Central Plumbing is here 24/7, 365.
We want to thank our customers, family, and friends for 50 years of success.
And looking forward to 50 more.
Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Dylan Cruz here to tell you about Six Rings Baseball and Softball Camp. If you live on the North Shore and play ball, go to Six Rings Camps with former LSU assistant coach Dan Canaveri. His knowledge is second to none, and your child will improve and have fun doing it. Camps were held at Coquille Park and Six Rings Academy in Covington with 4 sessions over the summer. Full day and morning only sessions are available from ages 7 to 13. Go to sixringsbaseball.com or call 985-206-9096. Learn the game to love the game.
The best kept secret in town is out. Discover Tallulah at the Renaissance Hotel on Bluebonnet.